Freedom, man. That's what it's all about. You've got to groove on freedom, like the good book says.
Welcome. You are listening to What on Earth is Happening. This show will discuss the topics of human consciousness, mind control, natural law, the occult, and all issues that affect the freedom of the people of Earth. What on Earth is Happening will endeavor to shine light upon the darkness of our world and to offer empowering solutions to the problems we face as humanity approaches its critical moment of choice. And now, here is your host, Mark Passio.
Welcome one and all, you're watching What on Earth is Happening. I'm your host Mark Passio, my website whatonearthishappening.com. Ladies and gentlemen, government is slavery. And here on What on Earth is Happening, we are ending slavery one mind at a time. Welcome one and all, thank you for tuning in today. Today is Sunday, March 20th, 2022. This is episode number 247 of What on Earth is Happening. We had a little bit of a slight technical glitch there at the beginning where the intro didn't begin as expected. I apologize for that. Hopefully that won't cause any problems. But we're up and running pretty smoothly. We have a great show lined up for you here today. Going to be continuing today with Fake Ass Anarchists Part 2. Fake Ass Anarchists Revisited Part 2. This is the extended presentation that I originally gave at the Seed 4 conference. And we are going to be continuing to give that in an extended format for as long as it takes. If it goes into a third week, so be it. Well, we'll be continuing that shortly. I'm going to switch over to my laptop and I have a few housekeeping announcements. Thank you to Will Keller for the great artwork for today's show. And let's jump into some announcements before we get into the material. I also want to briefly recover the occult season of sacrifice in this prelude to this show, because we have already entered the prelude of it and are going to be entering it in full this Tuesday, March 22nd. We are, of course, on the new What on Earth is Happening 3.0 streamlined show format, a 6-month on, 6-month off schedule from January through June. July through December, I will be teaching the How to Become the True Media 2022 seminar. Keep in mind, What on Earth is Happening is a cumulative show. It is cumulative information. You have to listen from show number 1 and do not skip around. So if you're a new viewer, you should not be starting here. You should go back to show number 1. It's very important that you do so, or you will not understand the context of what we are talking about in later shows, as they have prerequisite knowledge that is covered in earlier broadcasts. So go back to number 1 at whatonearthishappening.com/podcast. Just click the podcast tab on my website and you can listen in order at your own pace on the website. Check out the One Great Work Network. We began this great network of content creators back in February of 2021. The network is now over a year old and going pretty strong. We now have, I believe, 59 content creators on the network. We've onboarded a couple of new people. So we're on our way to 60 pretty soon. And the content is just phenomenal that all of the creators are putting out on One Great Work Network. You can gain an understanding of our world from a variety of perspectives and a variety of people's different techniques for putting the great work out there for people to understand. I think our content creators are some of the best in the world. Check them out and support their efforts at onegreatworknetwork.com. I said I was going to release Fear of Sacrifice on March 19th. I did not get around to that yesterday, but I will definitely be releasing it this Tuesday, March 22nd, online for free. It will be on Odyssey, YouTube, all the usual platforms. So check out Fear of Sacrifice and the Freedom Movement, my latest presentation, being released out of Gifts, where it is right now exclusively available at gifts.whatonearthishappening.com, but it will be released fully for free online this Tuesday, March 22nd. I'm running a clearance special on all t-shirts at What on Earth is Happening donation gifts. T-shirts are over 50% off. Long sleeve t-shirts are over 40% off. And they will remain that way until all t-shirts are gone. This is a complete clearance sale because I'm trying to basically get some new t-shirts printed. There may be a new design or two. I'm not really sure. But in any event, we will be restocking shirts as soon as this clearance sale is done. So once people buy up the existing inventory and clear out the stock, then I'll be printing some new shirts. For now, this clearance sale will be going until, again, as I said, all stock is gone at gifts.whatonearthishappening.com. Once again, gifts.whatonearthishappening.com. You could also pick up any hard copies of my presentations on flash drive and DVD, and there's other ancillary items there like stickers, buttons, coasters, etc. The How to Become the True Media 2022 seminar is racing toward us. Enrollment's going to open in just a couple of weeks, so don't enroll late because we will be filling up for this year. So it's an online technology skill sharing seminar, 23-week intensive, hosted on Telegram platform this year. We've done it on Zoom the first 2 years. We're switching over to Telegram this year. This will be taking place every Monday evening, 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. East Coast time, from Monday, July 11th through Monday, December 12th, 2022, for a total of 23 classes. We'll be covering just about everything anybody needs to know to become a member of the true media, of the new media, and do what myself and other content creators on the One Great Work Network do. So you'll be learning all of those skill sets in that seminar, plus much more. It's actually a seminar about life skills in general. Really, you could apply it to just about any set of life skills, period. There is limited space in this year's seminar, so don't wait forever to enroll because it will be filling up and I will be closing enrollment when I hit the number that I'm expecting to reach for enrollment. I don't want it to go too big because then it becomes a little unwieldy and impersonal. So I will be capping it at a certain number. Enrollment will open Friday, April 1st at midnight Eastern Time. Friday, April 1st at midnight Eastern Time. Enrollment online on the internet will be closing on July 4th at 11:59 p.m. So just before I'll let it go through the day on the 4th of July. But then we're closing enrollment online. All check and money order donations to attend this year's How to Become the True Media seminar must be received by July 1st. I will not be taking enrollments via check or money order that are mailed and received after July 1st because we have to wait for those to basically clear and be deposited and then get everybody who does it that way onboarded. Information about how to enroll via check and money order, which are new enrollment donation methods for this year's seminar, will be made available on both the website and donation gifts, which is where enrollment takes place. For more information on this great upcoming seminar this year, visit howtobecomthetruemedia.com. Once again, the website, howtobecomthetruemedia.com. The What on Earth is Happening IPFS project is a project to get people to host a full IPFS node with all of the What on Earth is Happening material that I've ever done to make it completely uncensorable. As a prerequisite, you would need a 200 megabit or greater internet connection in the upstream or upload direction. So if you don't have that, that is one of the foremost prerequisites for taking part in the IPFS project for What on Earth is Happening. If you do have that, you could check out whatonearthishappening.com/IPFS that explains what the IPFS project is, and you could fill out a form to get the preliminary requirements and preliminary equipment that's going to be necessary to do this project in a PDF file after filling out the form for interest. So then you could check out that PDF and decide whether you want to move forward. We have one node that is, for the most part, up right now. We're ironing out a couple of small issues with it, but it was pretty much working. We're going to basically put some of the hashes for the nodes and the files that are on the node up publicly very soon as we get a couple of the last details ironed out. I'd like to, again, I said host 10 of these nodes by the end of the year. I don't know if we'll hit that number, but I hope we will. If you're interested, check out more information at whatonearthishappening.com/IPFS. We usually do have call-ins to the show. I don't think we'll have time for that this week. We may. So if you want to stay in the queue, you can go to whatonearthishappening.com/Discord or hit the connect button on the widget on the show page if you're watching on the whatonearthishappening.com/show page of my site. But maybe we'll do an entire call-in show on this topic. I don't know if we'll have time because I'm going to unpack a lot of things today. So we'll see how it goes for calls. To round out the housekeeping announcements, the ARC 2.0 is available. It is a personal research archive with all of the best data that I have amassed pretty much since I've been online. And basically you send me a 2 terabyte hard drive. I fill the drive and send it back to you. There are some rigid shipping instructions to protect your property and to basically have some respect for my time, because I have to do this in a pretty efficient way with the amount of ARCs that I do receive. So the ARC comprises about 26,000 audio files, 9,500 books, and 3,400 videos. And basically, it would take a lifetime to research this material. You never need an internet connection if you have the ARC. I mean, not that you don't need one, but you know, this information would be offline, uncensorable, on your own available on your own computer, on any computer, because I format it with exFAT format, which makes it available on PC, Windows, Mac, and Linux operating systems. If you're interested in getting a copy of the ARC data, then please visit whatonearthishappening.com/ARC. Fill in the form. That is a requirement. People should not do end runs if they want to receive the ARC from me. Please do fill in the form at the ARC page, and then you'll get the shipping instructions. That is the proper way of requesting the shipping instructions. Please don't get them from other people, because they do change from time to time, and the most recent version is always on the whatonearthishappening.com/ARC page on the server, on the web server. So that's the ARC offer. Again, gifts.whatonearthishappening.com if you want to make a donation to receive a hard copy of the items that we have available here, both educational and promotional. And if you want to make a straight donation to support the What on Earth is Happening calls, you can go to whatonearthishappening.com/donate, where there are, I think, about 10 different donation methods or so, 10 or 11. And it's Cash App, GPay, Wise, 5 different cryptocurrencies, or our Amazon wish list if you want to make a technology donation, which many people have. As a matter of fact, we have no tech items on that area right now because people have purchased them all for us. So thank you very much from the bottom of my heart. People have been so generous with donations helping out this cause here. I thank you for everything you've done in the past and what you're going to do to continue to support our efforts here. So thank you for those who have made kind and generous donations to this cause. That's all the event announcements that I have, but I do want to jump into, or I should say housekeeping announcements, but I do want to jump into an explanation of the season of sacrifice. I'm not going to take too long to do this, so I'm just going to kind of power through this. I explain this just about every entry into spring. Today is the spring equinox, March 20th, and the first couple of days of spring, as I've said, are a prelude to the season of sacrifice. There is a 3-day entrance to this time of the year, and basically that 3-day period is March 19th, 20th, and 21st. So yesterday, today, and tomorrow is the 3-day prelude or entry to what is known in the dark occult world as the season of sacrifice. As you see, this is the occult calendar according to the houses of the zodiac, split into the 4 seasons, of which there is a midpoint of each season. The midpoints form what is called the Great Cross. That is the cross of Saint, I believe it's Saint George, or I always get them backwards, Saint George and Saint Andrew. And that Great Cross is the midpoints of the seasons. They're depicted by Taurus, Leo, Aquarius, and Scorpio. The midpoints of the seasons being the major Sabbats of Walpurgisnacht, May 1st, which is the midpoint of spring. That's the end of the season of sacrifice, which goes from the spring equinox to the midpoint of spring. And then you have the other Sabbats, which are Lammas in the summer, Samhain, or Halloween on the midpoint of fall, and Candlemas or Imbolc, the midpoint of winter. So, this is all astrotheologically based. Of course, the top 6 zodiacal houses or months are the season of life, because crops can grow in the northern hemisphere during that 6-month time period, essentially. And then the bottom of the zodiac is considered the season of death, or the tomb, for the sun, as it makes its journey through the houses of the zodiacal band through the year. And really not much grows in the northern hemisphere. Hence, it's called the season of death, because planting and harvesting really has to be done during the first 6-month period of the year, so that people can survive the season of death, or the second 6-month period, where the sun doesn't favor the northern hemisphere for growth, for food growth and harvesting. Now, in the dark occult traditions, it was seen as necessary to offer blood sacrifice to the earth. This was seen as the life force energy, and often the purest blood sacrifice that was given was a sacrifice of an infant or very young children that were considered pure and of the highest form of energy, highest form of life force. So this sick practice is really repeated through blood ritual sacrifices during the entrance to spring up through the midpoint of spring, because basically that's the entry into the season of life. And occultists in the ancient world, dark occultists in the ancient world, saw the blood as the life force energy of the body, and they considered that spilling blood onto the earth, or giving blood to the earth, would basically ensure a bountiful harvest in the summer season, because it would imbue the soil and the earth with the life force energy of the blood of a human being. So this is commemorated and still done in the modern world through mass sacrifice events that are essentially large-scale rituals, large-scale murder rituals, which come in the form of false flag events. in the modern world, which we have to be very vigilant for and watch out for. So it's all about the sun's positioning in the northern hemisphere, starting at the low point of power, the winter solstice, where it's at a 23.5 degree southerly angle with respect to the equator, or in other words, at the Tropic of Capricorn, entering the house of Capricorn on the zodiac. And as the sun basically, as the Earth revolves around the sun at a 23.5 degree axial tilt, the sun is then seen to progress through the houses of the zodiac during the course of the year. When it hits the equinoxes, March 19th or 20th in the spring equinox, and then, of course, September 20th, 21st, 22nd for the fall equinox, there is equal times of day and night. So just about everywhere on Earth, it's equal 12 hours daylight, 12 hours night. So we're at that point today where it's equal day and night. And that is considered the point where the sun is directly at the equator of the Earth. Then it proceeds to its high point of power, where it's the axial tilt of the Earth is tilted toward the sun instead of away from it, as it is at winter. And that's the summer solstice at June 20th or 21st. And that's at the Tropic of Cancer, because the sun is, of course, entering the zodiacal house of Cancer. The backdrop of stars as seen behind the sun when it is rising on the eastern horizon. On the day March 20th, so at the equinox, the sun, the solar disk itself, is fully directly at the equatorial line, okay, as would be depicted by the ecliptic, and it's cuts the sun directly in half in 50% at the top, 50% underneath that line, above it, and 50% beneath it. When 3 days have passed, the sun has fully broken that equatorial line that measures the 0 degree mark, and the disk is fully above that line. So there you see that in the upper right-hand side there, showing the positioning of the sun. It fully emerged from the tomb of the southern hemisphere. Hence it is risen, the light is risen. As the dark occultists refer to the light Lucifer, the light bearer. And this is depicted in many different Masonic, Freemasonic symbolism, such as the first degree tracing board, the cryptic tracing board of Tubal Cain, showing the season of death below, when the sun is in the tomb, and the season of life above, resurrection. And then, of course, the first degree tracing board turned on its side shows the latitude and longitude lines of the Earth on the left, depicted by the checkerboard floor, with the tropics and the equator shown as the pillars of Joachim and Boaz, and then the pillar of wisdom or will in the middle, leading to the different incarnations of the sun. The moon, is basically a symbol of night, the sun at the Tropic of Capricorn at the winter solstice. And then, of course, the sun in its risen aspect at the top of the pillar of Joachim there, which is the sun at the summer solstice at its high point. And the equator depicted as the pillar of wisdom there in the middle with Jacob's ladder, depicting the rise from the tomb of the southern hemisphere to the height of the season of life at the summer solstice. I mean, we've been through this many, many times. You could check this out again on former What on Earth is Happening broadcasts. But I'm explaining once again why they do these sick, twisted rituals, particularly around March 22nd. That's the day we really have to watch. Not to say that they couldn't pull any event out earlier or later, but they love the date March 22nd. They just love it. It is their ritual killing day. And don't be surprised if a false flag is carried out on March 22nd of this year. So, 322 is a big date, not only in the occult in general, because it is the official opening day of the season of sacrifice in earnest after the 3-day prelude period Again, this is all astrotheologically based about, the biblical Jesus rising from the tomb after 3 days of being dead. Okay. And, he's, symbolically crucified on the cross of the zodiac at the winter solstice, and after 3 zodiacal houses depicted as days symbolically, he rises from the tomb of the southern hemisphere at the spring equinox. From the season of death, the sun in the tomb, to the season of life, coming up above that equatorial point at the spring equinox. So this is a 40-day period. If you count the days from March 22nd, inclusive, to May 1st, it's exactly 40 days. So the 22nd through the 1st is a 40-day period. And you could just basically do the math, the 22nd through the 31st, inclusive. What is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 days, and then, you have the 30 days in April. And then the last day is May 1st. So it's 40 days if you count non-inclusively, 40-day period. So that's a biblical number, very symbolic in, Christian theology as well. Lent is a 40-day period of giving something up to commemorate the sacrifice of Jesus on the cross. Again, it's all astrotheology. If you're not familiar with any of this, go back and look at it in former broadcasts. I've covered both astrotheology and the season of sacrifice many times. But just to, put out a prediction and a possible warning, watch this 40-day time period for false flags and ritual blood murders, because these people are reptilian in their repetition, where they don't need to do anything different. They'll keep doing it right in people's face and tell them that they're doing it, because they know how dumb people are. They know how much people don't want to understand that a satanic cult owns and controls this planet, and are acting as the masters of other people. So they don't care how much people even see the pattern. That unfortunately most people don't and refuse to see it, even though I've been telling them that this is how it's been going for thousands of years. I've been telling them this. I did this slide back in 2010. Okay? So I've been telling people about the season of sacrifice for 12 years. You think most people even have any clue what this is, or know about it, or know the types of things that happen during this time period? So just watch this Tuesday. I'll just put it out there as a warning. Whether anything will definitely happen or not, we'll have to wait and see. But that's the day you want to watch for. I mean, it's an endless list of blood ritual murders and mass killings that they conduct in ritualistic fashion. The big thing that they were fond of is mass shootings during this time period, or starting wars, and or ecological disasters. So this covers up through 2017, this list. So I haven't really added many dates. Many people probably could find many more dates during the season of sacrifice that have contained mass murder events since 2017. But there's a list of them for you to check out, at least covering up through 2017. And, just don't be surprised if something goes down this week at the beginning of the season of sacrifice. So I won't take up too much more time with that, because I do want to get back into Fake-Ass Anarchists Revisited. So a couple of slides that I don't have as part of the presentation dealt with the political spectrum. Last week we left off on discussing fake leftist anarchists and fake right-wing anarchists. And again, I said the right-wing anarchists maybe are not too far off from the truth of what anarchy is, but they leave a lot at the door. They push a lot to the back burner and won't look at it, won't cover it, which is why I still don't consider them fully true anarchists. Hate to burst their bubble, but I have to call it as it is. And they just leave consciousness at the door, and they leave the occult at the door, and they leave natural law at the door in many cases. Not all. I don't want to paint with a too broad of a brush there, but I do want to get into looking at what I was describing last week verbally with a depiction of the different types of depictions of the political spectrum that are out there. And this first one is what I call the political spectrum that mind-controlled imbeciles believe in as a dogmatic religion. This is not reflective of reality as it really works. This is a mind control technique, this political spectrum that is often taught in schools, or I should say really exclusively taught in schools, in civics or, social studies, whatever they call it, history classes. This is not the actual political spectrum. This is what mind control social engineers, mind controller social engineers want to tell people the political spectrum is, because it's a Hegelian dialectic. This is dialectical mind control. Freedom is nowhere to be found on this spectrum. So any spectrum of the dynamic of political control, the dynamic of governmental control in any form, would have to have a point where there is none. It would have to contain a point of actual true anarchy or true freedom where government does not exist, because government is violence, it is coercion, and it is ultimately slavery. So on the imbeciles' political spectrum, on the political spectrum they give to fucking dummies, dumbass fucking people who have no idea what reality is, they want to mind control their thought process into believing there's only left wing and right wing. And then there's centrist, which might have a combination of both, right? And democracy really exists there. But then we have dictatorships out to the extremities when we get too far to the left wing or right wing. But it's really all the same predatory bird of prey. It's all slavery. It's just different gradations and forms of slavery. Democracy is not as hardened of a form of slavery as communism or as fascism. Okay? Soviet communism, Nazi fascism, however you want to break down the forms of total control or totalitarianism, are all forms of slavery. But so is any form of government. Democracy is just a form of slavery where you're beaten less often than in the forms of totalitarian government. That's why I joke around about libertarians, minarchists. I just want to be beaten 2 days a week instead of 7. Hey, we only beat our slaves 1 day a week here in the libertarian camp. If they don't follow our dictates and mandates. All the other slaves, they get on the other plantations, they get beat 7 days a week solid. Don't you know? You just have to laugh at how retarded people are, or you'll just put your head in your hands and weep all day. This is the problem here, folks. We're not making that much progress in consciousness on a mass scale because fucking morons and imbeciles still believe in this garbage. They still actually believe this represents the actual political spectrum, this bullshit. This is Hegelian dialectic mind control. That's all it is. It's there to get you to choose a master and to believe that there is no place for freedom in the whole spectrum of so-called politics. Well, yeah, politics doesn't really have a place for freedom because it's all slavery. That's all politics is. Politics is the PR for the actual slave owners who own the plantation. That's all it is. And people yet still believe in this garbage of centrism versus left and right political paradigm. And the only thing I have to ask those people is, how fucking old are you? How old are you? Are you a fucking child sitting in a fucking cradle? You sitting in a playpen? Yeah, because you're certainly behind bars in your mind. You might as well be in a fucking playpen, sitting cross-legged with crap in your diaper, because you act like a fucking 1-year-old, I mean, seriously. Seriously. Anybody that believes this fucking junk, you really deserve to be enslaved. The problem is you're dragging other people who don't want enslavement in with you because you're so fucking dumb. That's the problem. That's the whole issue. If you can go someplace where you can enslave yourself and not drag other people into that fucking morass with you, then you should be allowed to go do it. Unfortunately, it's very unfortunate that's not how things work here, and that we're unfortunately all connected by the law of one here on Earth. It's very sad, actually. It's a sad fact of life that good people who want freedom, who understand morality, have to be connected to fucking dunces who want slavery. Because you're essentially immoral fucking trash. And you believe in nonsense like this because of the fucking mind control you refuse to come out of. When you could come out of it if only you acknowledge that you were fooled, that you were duped, that you are wrong. You are morally wrong. You are factually wrong. That's why you're morally wrong. When you become factually wrong, you fall into moral wrongness because you don't know the difference between what is true and what is false when it comes to morality. That's why you can believe in bullshit like this. That's why you pick a master. You pick a side in the slavery. And you say everybody should be enslaved by our master. We don't want the other master. But our master is a good master, and we want him to enslave everyone. We want her to enslave everyone. You're immoral fucking trash. Everybody who believes in it. You're an immoral piece of fucking filth. You're dirt. And I'm not going to stop saying it that way. And I've lost friends over it. I'm done with people who believe in fucking government. I'm done. You're out. You're out of my fucking life. You're out of my life. I'm talking to anybody who I once was even nice to. After this whole bullshit with the bullshit fucking alleged virus, with this whole fucking scam of corona, this whole scam of this pandemic. I'm fucking done with people that believe in government. Fuck you. Fuck you and fuck your religion. Fuck you and fuck your God. You have a religion and a God, and it's called fucking government. Fuck you and fuck it. This is what morons believe in who believe in this shit. Now I'm going to show you a slightly different version that is more accurate. It's a different political spectrum that is ultimately has a place where freedom exists on the spectrum. So this is all the way to the left. You have totalitarianism. And this is the total rule of government but over other people. Rule by government over other people. So you have an oligarchical totalitarian faction, whether it be fascist, whether it be communist, whether it be based in Nazism. It doesn't make a difference what bullshit religion it's based in. Totalitarianism is based in some sick fucking religious governmental belief. And it has taken many forms over the centuries. But it's ultimately directed and ruled by social engineers and the dark occult. And then as you go a little bit to the right, you have less control and a little bit more freedom. So there's a little bit more freedom in a socialist regime than there is in a complete totalitarian regime. A little bit more freedom in a democratic regime than there is in a socialist one. That's why they say they want democratic socialism. They want to push the line toward the left and move from what they call democracy to socialism. As you go toward the middle, you have this moderate approach that is somewhere in between. It's just basically confusion. You don't know whether you want slavery or freedom. And then as you move a little bit more toward the right in this spectrum, you have then a republican form of government, or a republic, constitutional republic like we're supposed to have in the United States, which we have nothing of the kind. And then you have forms of minarchism, like libertarian, etc., classical conservatism and liberalism. And then, of course, all the way to the right is where I'm at, and that's pure anarchy, which does not mean chaos, which does not mean lawlessness. It does not mean immorality. It means no masters, no slaves. I don't believe in the slavery of human beings. I'm an abolitionist. That's the only moral position that there is when it comes to the control of other people. Other people shouldn't be placed in other people's control. Period. Even if they're doing something wrong, I don't believe in control. I believe in dealing with them, getting them out of the fucking world, quite frankly. I don't believe in imprisonment. I want all the prisons emptied. I want people to have to deal with all the bad people they created. That'll teach you to make good people. That'll teach you to teach people morality. It'll teach you to learn it yourself and teach it to others if you have a lot of bad people in your society. It should. Unfortunately, we're still not doing that. But I don't think prisons teach that lesson. Prisons just try to sanitize your society and not get you to understand you made those bad people. Parents in this society made those bad people who we're trying to put in jail and keep away from the rest of society. You're not learning anything that way by doing that. You're not even protecting anybody by doing that, because it gives rise to a whole new breed of corruption and corrupt people who want to go into the positions where they're in power over people who are caged. Fuck prisons. Fuck the prison system. Fuck the people who run them. You're garbage. You're just as much garbage as the people on the inside, because you're immoral trash. Because you're all about control, because you're fearful little fucking children in your psychology. That's all you are. You're a little child. I'm afraid of everything. Let's put these people away. We'll sanitize our society and it'll be safe for everybody. We'll reduce it to the level of a fucking little child who can't think, because that's what I am. That's what you sound like, moron. It's just what dumb people fucking sound like. You're just fucking dumb, son. You're just fucking dumb. That's all it is. You're dumb and immoral. And you're immoral because you're dumb. That's why. You've been dumbed down by this fucking system. You won't acknowledge it. You won't fucking set it right by learning something, because you're lazy and you're immoral. And guess what? This goes for everybody who I once had anything to do with, who will not let go of the religion of government. You're a fucking piece of trash. You're a religionist. You're garbage. You're immoral fucking garbage, and I want nothing to do with any of you. So that's how it goes for anybody who is not an anarchist at this point, as far as I'm concerned. You're not a good person. Only anarchists can be good people. Only true anarchists can be good people. The amount of good people in the world are the amount of anarchists, of true anarchists, that are in the world. And there's a lot of fake ones that call themselves that, and that doesn't make them a good person. And even just saying that you're an anarchist and believing in that there should be no coercion and slavery in the world through government doesn't even necessarily make you a truly good person. You could still fall from the spiritual path and not really live a good moral life, even though you say you agree with those principles. So there's even less truly good people in the world than there are true anarchists in the world. So on this political spectrum, I am infinity to the right. Infinity to the right. I don't believe in any government institutions. It's all claims of ownership, which is claims of being a slave owner and that you legitimately own other people. I don't care how you want to justify it. I don't care what services you say government provides. I don't care what you justify it by. It's slavery through coercion, whereby free will choice is removed, and that is violence. So if you're a believer in violence, go fuck yourself. I don't want anything to do with you as a fucking human being. You are somebody who wants to get things done by way of violence. Now, I just said I'd rather clean up the world of the bad people who want to do violence to other people. That's self-defense. Let all the fucking really bad people out of the prisons, release them back into the communities that created them, and let the communities deal with them. That would be justice. That would be justice. You have a little bit of time to repent and reform from your vile, evil, violent fucking ways. And if you don't, we're taking you out of the world. That's it. Because you can't stay here. We love you at a soul level, but you can't stay here. That's how I think everything should be dealt with. That's it. I'd say give them a little bit of time not to continue to do those things, but if they're shown to continue to do them, they got to go. Very simple. It's a very simple approach that is common sense, actually. The problem is people are too chicken shit cowards to deal with it like that. That's the problem. They don't understand the self-defense principle. So they want to have that sanitized and sequestered. Sequester them. We'll sequester them from our society and we'll make our society safe that way. You're such jackass, lowlife, dumb fucks. It's just unfathomable that you could be that dumb. Anybody who believes in that bullshit. You're just played. You're played. Your owners played you. They have your mind. They look at you as an even bigger of a fucking joke than I do. And I think you're a big fucking joke. And your owners just look at you as an infinitely bigger fucking joke. Because you do it to your own kind. You believe your own kind should be enslaved. You believe you should be enslaved. What kind of a fucking piece of dirt trash thinks that way? And that's how your owners think about you. They don't think about that way for themselves. They think about that way from you because they look at you as a fucking dumb animal. As a dumb fucking animal. And you know how many people can't hear this? They can't hear it. They can't comprehend it. They're too dumb to even understand what I'm saying. That's how fucking dumb they are. They can't even comprehend this at a mental level at all. And their owners know that. That's why they likened him to a stupid fucking animal that deserves extermination. And that's what most people really are. Problem is I'm swept up in that net. And I'm not a stupid fucking animal like other people. See, that's my problem. That's where I have a moral problem with it. You want to remove me from that equation, it still makes what you're doing wrong. But I'm not even removed from that equation. I'm swept up in that fucking garbage net. You know? And other good people are as well. That's why I have a moral problem with it. Anybody who's not a real anarchist right now, you got to seriously fucking re-examine your life. You got to seriously re-examine your beliefs. You got to seriously do serious shadow work upon your psyche. Because there's something deeply traumatized you and you're fucked up mentally and emotionally. That's the problem. See, I may have gone through a lot of trauma, but I'm not fucked up completely as a result of it. I'm dealing with it to the extent that my mind is still okay, to the extent that it knows the difference between right and wrong. It has come to the accurate conclusion of that. I'm not in such fear that I'm a believer in this bullshit religion called government. I'm not a fucking cult member. The people who believe in it, you're a fucking cult member. You're a fucking cult member. And you don't want to acknowledge that. You don't want to acknowledge that you're a fucking cult member because of your beliefs. But that's exactly what you are. I don't care how minarchist you believe in it. If you believe in coercion and violence and slavery, you're a fucking cult member. You're a brainwashed fucking cult member. So this political spectrum is a little bit more realistic. And one could look at it like this. It would be somewhat accurate. But it still ignores the most important factors when it comes to what manifests in our world, which is consciousness and morality determine that. How much do we really know? How much knowledge do we have? How much awareness of ourselves and our surroundings do we have? And how much do we know about true objective morality, the objective difference between right behavior and wrong behavior? Because see, the more and more you believe in government, the more you believe in wrong behavior. You believe in violence, you believe in coercion, you believe in slavery, all wrongdoings. No one has the right to enact those behaviors on any others. That's immorality. That's transgressions against natural law. Those are the true 7 deadly sins: murder, assault, rape, theft, trespass, coercion, and deception. Not pride, gluttony, sloth, lust, anger, jealousy, greed. Those are the fake 7 deadly sins, just like we have the fake political spectrum. This is more accurate to the political spectrum, but it leaves out two important dynamics: consciousness and morality. So let's look at what the real political spectrum is. It's people who believe in government, who believe in different gradations of government, which is just about everywhere, right? See, I'm just taking this and I'm creating a new dimension to it to make it a mathematical function instead of just a line. And yes, there's only one spot on this current, right over here, this current political spectrum, right? There's only one spot on it that represents freedom, and that's all the way to the right at anarchism. That dot is the only place that represents freedom on that spectrum. Similarly, there's only one place that represents freedom on my political spectrum that I've invented. But I take this graph and I mirror it. I take the anarchist thing and I make it an asymptotal curve. Okay? It's like a parabolic or exponential curve. And then I mirror it about the x-axis, which is directly in the middle on my chart. So let's take a look at this, and it will look a little bit busy, maybe a little confusing at first, but I'm going to break it down for people. I've done this before, but I think it's very valuable to reiterate it. And I've a little bit reworked the graph as well to make it even more clear what this represents. So this is the real political spectrum, and it is a function of consciousness and morality. Now, by definition, what a mathematical function is, okay, it is basically a graph by which there is only one y value for any given x coordinate. So you have the x coordinate is the horizontal axis that goes across horizontally, and then the y axis goes up and down vertically. Okay? So the x axis here is labeled as the amount of external government based on coercion and violence. The amount of external government based on coercion and violence. So we're not talking about government in the sense of I can control myself. I own my thoughts, emotions, and actions, and I govern them. That's not what we're talking about. So that is a form of government. That's the only true form of government, is self-governance. We're not talking about that on this chart on the x-axis. It's the amount of externally imposed government that is based in coercion and violence, the imposition of human will on others through violence and coercion. That's slavery. And there's only one place that represents the absence of that, the 0 point in the middle. Then as we go away from the 0 point in both directions, the amount of externally imposed government grows. Okay? And consciousness gets lower and lower and lower. At the very top, the peak, that's the place of peak consciousness. Because what we are plotting a function against this vertical line, okay? So the vertical axis is the amount of consciousness, understanding of objective morality, and respect for self-ownership that is present in the aggregate in all of society. So once again, let me repeat that. The vertical line represents the amount of consciousness, which is the ability to recognize patterns and meaning with respect to events taking place both within the self and in this realm, the realm in which the self exists and operates. That's our definition of consciousness from way back in show number 1 or 2. Okay? So, again, this vertical axis represents the amount of consciousness, understanding of objective morality, and respect for self-ownership present in society. So as that goes up, right, as it goes up to that peak, we have zero externally imposed government. So as consciousness goes up, as consciousness rises in society in the aggregate, we have less and less and less government. So this function is a function of consciousness and morality. As consciousness goes up, government is swinging exponentially to the 0 point. As it goes down, as it swings down asymptotically, exponentially, we have more and more externally imposed government. So on that horizontal axis, 0, no government, anarchy. As we go out to the sides, totalitarianism, all the way out to the extremes of left and right. So we see left totalitarianism, communism on the left side of the graph. Socialism a little bit to the right of that. A republic based on classical liberalism to the right of that. To the right of that, a form of minarchism, left-wing libertarianism, you could call it. Left-leaning libertarianism. And then on the right-hand side, we start with the totalitarianism of fascism. Just another word for slavery. Just like communism is. And then as we go a little to the left of that, we have crony capitalism, which is pretty much, we're in a mixture now of socialism and crony capitalism. So if you had to say where is the world basically on the graph today, or where is the United States in particular, it would be at the point right here. I'll bring my mouse over here and circle it. We'd be here and here. So we'd be at that point, crony capitalism mixed with socialism, and rapidly heading toward a mixture of communism and fascism. So we're here and sliding all the way into totalitarianism. When where we need to be is here, which is when consciousness is enlightened and moral, as opposed to being unconscious and immoral. And that is the only place in the graph that represents true freedom or anarchy, the state of there being no masters and no slaves. The true state of freedom. This is the real political spectrum. And if anybody tries to tell you that it really is any other way, they're either stupid or lying, because this is actually the real political spectrum. I'm calling it the real political spectrum, not a imagined variant or a guess or my opinion of the real political spectrum. This is how it really works. Now, you could take this graph and fold it on the 0 line and just mirror one side to the other. Doesn't matter which way you mirror it. It would represent the same thing. Okay? Communism and fascism are basically the same in their results if they vary in their methods. Okay? They vary in their political ideology a little bit and in their methods, but you get the same results. Death camps, no rights, no private property, etc. Government is God. Government is the religion of all society. You can mirror it, and like I said, we're at the point where we're basically at a mixture of socialism and crony capitalism. A true constitutional republic would be a mixture of classical liberalism and classical conservatism, which would exist in a state of balance, which we couldn't stay in for even over 200 years, less than 200 years. And then libertarianism would look very similar as a form of minarchy, whether it is slightly left-leaning or slightly right-leaning. But there's only one place that represents true freedom, where individual rights are respected, where self-ownership is respected, where there is high level of enlightened consciousness throughout society, and there is an understanding of objective morality, a correct understanding of objective morality throughout society in the aggregate. That's that 0 point. That's what we have to get to. And I deliberately depicted it as this very precarious, precipitous thing where if you go off of it by a hair, you could easily slope down into totalitarianism. It's supposed to depict how difficult it is to reach and maintain that state because of how much total mind control there is, out in society, and how dumb people are, and how easily leaning toward one political form of dialectic or the other. They are. Wanting to pick a master, wanting to pick a political party. Just totally easy pickings for mind control dialectics, for polarization dialectics. When are people going to learn, folks? When are you going to see the handwriting on the wall? When are you going to see the patterns that I've been pointing out for fucking ever? Since day one of this show. Since before this show. Publicly since 2007. Longer than that privately. It's very frustrating doing this and saying the same thing over and over and people still insisting, no, I have it right. What you have believed in, what the people who still don't get what I'm talking about here have believed in. And I hope people I hope people that do get it are showing my shows to people who don't get it, or showing them other people's work that may be a little bit less abrasive for them so they can listen to it and explain this stuff, explain it to them, make them understand it, force them to understand it. Put it up in their face. And if they won't listen to you, stop being friends with them. That's what I mean by forceful. I don't mean by doing violence to them, but never stop talking about it. Don't talk about anything else. Be obsessive about it. So that's why we're in the mess that we're in, is we're allowing other people's ignorance and we're allowing them to just make bad choices and saying, I'll just stay friends with you. Well, guess what? I'm done with that. I'm done with that. If you're not an anarchist, you're an immoral fucking loser. You're an immoral fucking brainwashed, mind-controlled fucking loser. And I don't want to be around fucking immoral losers. And I'm going to be real fucking harsh about it because my tolerance as I get older is less and less. And motherfucker, you don't know more than me. You don't know a fucking thousandth what I know. And that goes to anybody who wants to say they have any idea of the colossal amount of information I've taken in to understand this world and where I've been to acquire a lot of the information I've acquired. Then people want to come and say, sounds like you got a chip on your shoulder, Mark. No fucking shit, dunce. I'm the first person to tell people that. Maybe this isn't the show for you to listen to. Maybe you should shut it the fuck off, people who think like that. I'm not interested in viewership. I'm not interested in numbers. I don't give a fuck whether the show has one person listen to it. It's still true. What I say is still true here. I'm correct. And what I'm saying is true. Period. And if I make a mistake, I acknowledge it and admit it. But in general, I don't even air anything on this show unless I'm positive I'm correct about it. I don't bother with that. I've done speculation 1 or 2 times, and I've very, very, very upfront told people this is speculative, and I could be incorrect about it, but I'm going to speculate on things that I think are more likely than not the case. And when I go into speculative areas, I have that caveat up front. When I'm saying something I definitively know to be true, I don't have a caveat about it. I'm not trying to tell you that this is my opinion or I might possibly be wrong about it. I've come to the correct conclusion about it and it's true information. So if you can't hear true information from somebody because I'm so angry that I'm still fucking enslaved by other people's ignorance and I think it should have changed by now in the age of information, go fuck yourself. Stop listening to the show. I don't need you as a fucking viewer and I don't want your opinion. And I'm going to keep saying that over and over again every fucking week if I have to. I don't want unsolicited opinions about what I say and do. Go do your own fucking shit. Go do your own fucking shit. I'm not interested in your fucking opinions about my work. Anybody, don't write to me with your opinions on my work. I don't understand. It's a sign of high-level disrespect. Honor, as a respect to me, honor my request. I don't care what you think of my work. Whether you like it or don't like it, I don't care. Do your own work. You're wasting my time by even sending anything to me. I'm not interested in communication with people personally back and forth. That isn't what I do. It's not what I do. I don't do personal counseling sessions. It's not what I do. Don't ask for them. People ask me for that. I'm not a life coach. I don't do personal life coaching. I teach a tech seminar. You want to learn tech to do this work? You could attend the How to Become the True Media seminar. That's what I do. First of all, learn what I do and what I don't do. Okay? And I'm going to take the time in here to actually put that out because it still aggravates me that I have to deal with fucking imbeciles who won't listen. You obviously haven't listened to any fucking podcast because I've said this a million fucking times. I don't do personal counseling. I don't do private sessions. I don't really want your opinion. I don't care what you think of my work. I don't care. I'm here to put this out in a one-way flow for people. One direction from me to you. From me to you. I'm the fucking huge body of water being damned because if it broke all at once, it would drown everybody. And I'm meeting it out a little stream at a time to everybody who wants to drink from that fountain. That's what I do. Understand that. It's a one-way flow from the big body of information out to the people who need it flowing to them. I'm not interested in your opinion of how I do it. I'm here to explain to you what is going on in the world, what is happening as far as freedom is concerned, how consciousness works, how morality really works to bring us the results of our experiences here on earth, and then to implore you to teach other people the same thing. I don't want a discussion with you about whether you liked how I did something or not. I don't care, and I'm uninterested. I don't know how much more of an asshole I can be directly to your fucking face to get you to understand I don't care about your fucking opinion of my work. This goes for anybody. Like I said, whether you think I'm like the greatest thing since sliced bread or whether you hate my fucking guts, I don't really want to hear from you, and I don't want to hear your opinion. I have too much fucking work to do. Stop making me even stop and read a fucking email. The only emails that I really appreciate are people who say, I really had my mind changed by what you had to say. Or I didn't understand it and I couldn't even hear it from you at first and then I got it. I got an email from somebody who said, I was one of your worst students. I could barely even put any of this together and finally had an aha moment and then I understood what you were talking about because I powered through it and listened enough, watched enough, and was basically saying, now I understand why you're so hard on people because they're not doing anything. And this person says they're going to get involved. That's great. Wonderful. You know? Saying that they never went back to episode 1. They never got the arc. They didn't understand what it was all about because they had such a limited perspective. You don't see what I'm seeing until you get all the information. Until you've been through all the podcasts, you don't know what I've said. You only think you know what I've said. You have no idea what I've said until you've been through all my information. Then you'll have an inkling of what I've said. And you only have a small inkling of what I really know. So let's move on and go back to fake-ass anarchists. All right. And I'm going to drop, because once again, I'm going to drop myself in the frame here, and I'm going to go full screen with the presentation slides because they were made in 1080p or 1920 by 1080, 16 by 9 aspect ratio. So let's jump over to full screen, and that's probably the last I'll actually be on camera today. Last week, again, the reason I brought up the political spectrum this week is because I was trying to explain what I meant by left-wing versus right-wing from a traditional perspective versus what I consider true right-wing, or what I consider the up direction in the political spectrum representing higher level of consciousness and morality. So I just wanted to clarify that, and I think those slides will go a long way to doing that. But I left last week talking about right-wing anarchism in the examples of anarcho-capitalism, agorism, and voluntarism, all which share common ideologies as not being bad things, which are very close to what I would consider true anarchy, but miss in certain key characteristics. But they're about as close as you're going to get, and still be included in what I include in these hyphenated forms of anarchy, or anarchism in double quotes, representing something that is not really true anarchy in its pure form. Which I would even include these right-wing variants in that category. And here I'm going to explain why. Where they have very good general ideologies, free market economics, which is what agorism ultimately is, voluntary interaction. Of course, any anarchist has that as the foundational principle of the non-aggression principle. All interactions between human beings should be voluntary and not be based in coercion and violence or duress. Freedom of association. However, they often take these things to too extreme of a belief. It leaves the realm of philosophy and becomes a hardened dogmatic ideology, because it is leaving philosophy at the door to a large extent. It's leaving spirituality at the door to a large extent. And that's what we want to really avoid. See, again, every one of these fake schools of anarchism, these fake categories of anarchism, has one thing that they believe is the ultimate solution, and generally one or two things that they want to get rid of permanently. And that's what I'm trying to explain. They're always off in their interpretation. They're always off in what they think the answer or the solution is. So, right-wing anarchism, quote unquote, in these different forms, anarcho-capitalism, agorism, voluntarism, they believe in that free markets and voluntary interaction alone will create true freedom, that the market will do this. Just people being voluntarily interacting amongst themselves will bring the state of true freedom. And I would say it may largely bring that state, but I call this close but no cigar anarchism, because a lot of these people in these groups will not talk about natural law and spirituality, because many of them, unfortunately, are also atheistic. Some have a Christian belief system, some other religions, but largely when you bring up the occult to these people, when you bring up spirituality to many of them, they're very closed off. They're very shut down. A lot of them have very distant or no connection to spirituality. And it is almost always left out of their solutions. Their discussions about solutions leave out natural law and spirituality and higher level consciousness. They think it's only a matter of politics and finance. See, if you just even think about it, voluntarism is the closest to a moral philosophy out of these. Anarcho-capitalism is about getting regulation out of markets, making markets truly free, and so is agorism to a large extent. And of course, they want voluntary interaction within that market, but, this doesn't really say anything regarding true morality. Just because a market is free doesn't mean it's moral. And that's the thing. Only a true anarchist, only true anarchists really make the connection between morality and freedom. A true anarchist understands the law of freedom, that as morality increases, freedom increases. And you never hear this out of the right-wing so-called anarchists. I've never heard this out of them. I'm the only person that brings up these concepts to them. Many of them are still moral relativists. Many of them will argue that why is harm a bad thing? I've actually heard this argued at a libertarian meeting. Why is harm necessarily a bad thing? Imagine this. Well, just let people harm you indiscriminately and let's see how you do. Let them steal from you. Let them harm your body. Let them take your property. We'll see how well you're doing in society and in life. But this common sense, it's just absent. Think about it. Think about how absent that kind of common sense, the common sense about morality has to be when people say, how could you can't even really define harm, can you? Yeah, sure you can. It's called a form of theft that is done to you that violates your natural rights. That's what harm is. Whether your bodily well-being is taken or whether your property is taken or whether your rights are taken or your life is taken, something is always stolen from you without right. That's harm. It's not that hard to figure out, and it just it makes me want to call people fucking dumb dunces, because honestly, that's what people really out there who can't get the common sense nature of natural law philosophy are to me. That's really what they are to me. They're just unimaginably fucking dumb. And it's sad. It's sad. I don't even really hate them because of it. I hate what their ignorance has led to. How I feel about them is unbelievable fucking pity. How could you be an adult this deep into the 20th century and still remain that dumb? It's unfathomable that it's even possible. It's like you gotta work. That's not even a 24/7 job. I don't even know what that is. That's some preternatural fucking will to be that dumb. Forget working even 24/7. You're beyond that level of will to stay that stupid. And then people go, why are you so hard on people, calling them so fucking dumb? Because this stuff is not that hard to figure out, folks. What is harm? It's that everything you don't want done to you, so you shouldn't do to other people, idiot. Real fucking simple, actually. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure it out. The problem is really fucking egoic people who are fucking totally devoid of spirituality and are fucking idiot atheists don't want to believe that anything having to do with any spirituality is real. And so they throw out morality. They throw out objective morality. They throw out objective harm. I mean, give me a fucking break. Let me start wailing on you with a pair of fucking nunchucks and you'll find out what harm is. And you'll find out how quick you don't want it done to you. And believe me, I'll hit you the way fucking people who think they know how to use nunchucks won't hit you with them. And you'll find out what harm is. Let me do that for a couple hours and then come and tell me there's no such thing as objective harm. I mean, give me a fucking break. See, it's just, I get so frustrated because we should be far beyond these discussions, folks. We should be way into a deeper understanding of natural law and what's going on in our world. And we're still at square one. We're still at square one. And we're never going to get out of square one if we don't get past left wing versus right wing and the dialectic, the polarization dialectics that brings. If you don't understand that's balkanization, if you don't understand that is just complete Hegelian dialectics at work to lead people down the garden path of slavery at either choosing. Doesn't matter whether you choose the left wing or the right wing. So then there's other categories of anarchism. I'm going to put in different groups of hyphenated bullshit anarchists into these groups, these categories. Because in all honesty, they deserve to be boxed, right? Let's categorize them and box them how they really are. It's true, I say, let's not box identities, but these are false identities that need a box. You can file them nice and neatly because that's how they were designed. They were designed to fragment people in certain ways. They were designed by the dark occultists to fragment idiots who can't see the big picture. What do you think? These aren't religions that the dark occult invented? Just like they invented the flat earth religion? Just like they invented the Nazi religion? Right? You can't see that? And here's people coming at my door that don't know I'm doing, ringing my bell, who don't know I'm doing a show between 3 and 6. I mean, I don't know how many times I've told people I'm on the air between 3 and 6. Don't knock on my door. Don't ring the bell. I got to put a big fucking sign on the door. Yet it's almost every week. So these people deserve to be put in a box, quite frankly, because, again, it's a religion invented by the dark occult. You don't think churchianity was invented by the dark occult? You don't think traditional Judaism was invented by the dark occult? Traditional Islam was invented by the dark occult? All religions were invented by the dark occult. Yes, yours. No, not just other people's. Yours too. Yours too, if you have one. Atheism is invented by the dark occult. All religion is invented by the dark occult. All forms of fake anarchy is invented by the dark occult. All psyops. These are psyops, folks. That's why I said this is a prelude to future presentations I'm going to give on psyops. You know? It's all dark occultism, bullshit religion. Invented to throw you off the course of what real freedom is. And religionists, you want to talk about that? There's another fucking group of people. I don't want to hear from you. You're a dunce. I don't believe your nonsense that you believe in. I know what real spirituality is. I don't need your fucking bullshit religion. Fuck your God. Put your God in a fucking trash bin and light it on fucking fire, because your God is a fucking dumpster fire, just like your mind is. Okay? Your religion's a dumpster fire, your God's a dumpster fire, and you're a dumpster fire. And I don't want to hear from you. Keep your bullshit to yourself. When I hear from people like that, in all honesty, really, you only ever get to talk to me once. And I've told this to many people. Waste your time writing endlessly. As soon as you write something that I've told you I'm uninterested in hearing, like your bullshit religion, your bullshit religious beliefs, your critiques of my work, as soon as I make out instantly, as soon as I see the email is about that, you go on the blacklist at the server level, and that's it. I got a script, your email gets copied and pasted into it, blacklisted, and you could write to me from now till the dawn of time. And you know what happens? As soon as the email comes in, it's deleted. It never gets sent to my inbox. I never see it. You write for half an hour, whatever your fucking idiot fucking hands and brain are doing, and you hit send, and it never reaches me. See, that's solving something through technology, right? Because I'm not a technological Luddite like we're going to see with the right brain forms of so-called anarchism. Right? I know how to solve a fucking idiot problem with technology. And that's what I do. So go ahead, please send me more emails. People like that. Because I love that you'll be wasting your fucking time. Just waste your fucking time writing those emails away. Because you're probably already in the blacklist. Wonderful. Waste more fucking time and just be a less productive imbecile. So we have these left brain factions or categories of fake anarchists, fake ass anarchists. We have anarcho-egoism, which might as well be just called Satanism. Anarcho-transhumanism. Oh, wait a minute. Ego and transhumanism. Egoism and transhumanism. I know that these terms are coming from someplace. I know that they're popular in these circles, but I just can't imagine. It can't be the occult, because that's not real, right? We can't talk about that in, libertarian or traditional anarchist discussions, right? Because we just shut down when it comes to any of that, right? We don't listen to any talk about the occult world. That's not real. That's some hokey religious belief. And yeah, it is a bullshit religious belief. Unfortunately, a lot of people believe in it, and the people who are actively in control of our world believe in those beliefs, unfortunately. That's the problem, is you haven't made that connection and realized how important it is to understand what they believe, because they believe it and are acting on it. And this is part of their belief system, egotism and transhumanism. And there's actually anarcho, in quotes, and hyphenated, preceding, I put the quotes around it, but anarcho, in quotes, preceding this religion of egotism and transhumanism. Anarcho-egoism, yes, it's a thing. Anarcho-transhumanism, yes, it's a thing. Their ideologies include pure egotism, might makes right ideology. meaning you could do whatever you want as long as you can get away with it in the physical world and as long as you could do it to people who can't stop you. Newtonian materialism, transhumanism. Imagine this. There are people who say that they're anarchists and they think this is what anarchy is going to come about through. We're going to bring it about through pure ego. No, you're going to bring about the satanic world that we're rapidly descending into and headed toward and going to hit like a brick wall through egotism, because that's the first tenet of Satanism, dumbass. Might makes right, another satanic ideology. Pure Newtonian materialism, very popular with Satanists and dark occultists. Transhumanism, one of the most popular modern forms of Satanism. Modern variant and sects. A sect of modern Satanism is transhumanism. Look at what they're talking about with the little goblin puppet of Schwab in the World Economic Forum, whose name I can't remember because he's not worth fucking remembering because he's such a piece of trash Satanist, who's saying, oh, this idea of free will, that's all over with. We have to stop even believing that that exists because we can hack the human being now and make them do whatever we want at a genetic level. You piece of fucking trash. Somebody ought to fucking flay you while you're alive and set your body on fucking fire. Satanist trash. And this is what people are listening to. Satanic fucking murdering trash like that, who are outright telling them, I'm your slave owner. I'm your master. You are my slave, and we're going to hack your physiology until you can't disobey me, slave. Piece of fucking dirt, fucking trash. You'll see who's a fucking slave, motherfucker. You'll find out. You wouldn't come near me and say that to me, boy. Let me tell you that. You'd find out what would happen. You wouldn't breathe too long either, son. And this is who fucking people go and line up to fucking hear. He's giving lectures. I'll put that out for you. You come right to my fucking address and find me. And tell me how you're going to fucking manipulate me and take my free will away and make me your slave. And see how well it goes for you, motherfucker. Yeah, then what are you going to do? Because you're a little pussy bitch. You wouldn't do nothing. You'd go in the ground, boy. That's what would happen. I'm not even joking with him like I am with the Pope, even though he's a big fucking piece of trash too. Joking about getting a cage with him. I wouldn't even need to put you in a cage. But this is what left brain imbalance gets you. Pure scientism, pure materialism, total left brain imbalance, total lack of morality, total lack of spirituality. These are people ensconced in the belief of pure selfishness. They think that's going to bring about any kind of good, even for themselves. They think selfishness and technology technology alone is going to create freedom. Let me tell you something, folks. I'm for the proper use of technology, but I am not a transhumanist. I'm not for putting technology in the body. I am not for making technology the only savior and that believing it's going to make true freedom. Working with what we know that is right and objective morality and putting that out through technology is going to create true freedom, to change people's minds. Then we won't need even the reliance or dependence on technology to do that if we could really instill that in human beings and then teach that by word of mouth and through books and, through writing and through, of course, creative videos and audio as well. Continue to do that. But if we could instill this in humanity in a form of common sense, common knowledge, we won't even need the amount of technology in our lives that we are using. I certainly wouldn't use technology to the extent that I have to, unless I needed to do this type of work. I would take a break from it, but I can't, because this is the mechanism and this is the medium that we get the message out there to others. So yeah, anarcho-transhumanism and anarcho-egoism is a thing. That star depicts anarcho-egoism, and the ball with the Borg eye represents anarcho-transhumanism. These people are gone gooses, man. Gone gooses. I mean, just think about how sick and mentally imbalanced you have to be to believe this nonsense, that this is what's going to lead to freedom. Jesus. Yeah, it's the exact opposite. Pure selfishness leads to hell. Transhumanism leads to hell when technology is used that in a state of imbalance and that unwisely. But again, good luck getting through to people like this, because they're cult members. See, that's all I'm describing here are different cults. That's it. These are different psyops. None of this represents what anarchy really is. They just tack on anarcho in there to get people confused about what anarchy really is. And that's the psyop. See? And if dumb people latch onto it and believe in it, all the better. The dark occultist, the social engineer, the mind controller, the dark sorcerer thinks that's great. If we can float this nonsense out there to people and have them latch on, then we have useful idiots doing our work for us. And believe me, there's thousands of them. Millions of them. But just keep in mind, these are all just forms of cults, folks. These are all just religions invented by the dark occultists. Invented by the CIA sorcerer, as Jim Keith called them. You know? They could just invent religions at will. They invented the COVID religion. And by the way, YouTube, you Nazi scumbag fucking cunt whores, and I'm just going to call it exactly how it is. That's what you are, you low-life scumbags. You're Nazi trash. You banned my episode from last week. Ban this one again. Ban them fucking all. Ban me from your whole fucking garbage platform. I don't need you, you whore. You fucking dumb whores. You're dumb Nazi whores, the people who work for YouTube. You think you're smart, and you're dumb little pieces of fucking dirt. You're following your orders just like a good fucking Nazi. You're cut from the same cloth as the Nazis were. You're the same type of trash, doing what you're told. You don't know what right and wrong is. You don't care what right and wrong is. All you give a fuck about is the money. That's all you care about is your fucking paycheck, like a fucking good little dirty rotten Nazi cunt. That's what you are. You trash. You fucking low-life trash. Saying I'm promoting medical misinformation. No, you're fucking imbecile demon Fauci and your imbecile demon fucking CDC. They're promoting misinformation. You're promoting misinformation. The vaccines are bioweapons, you dumb cunts. Fuck you. Ban everything. Ban it all. I don't give a fuck because I don't need you, whore. I don't need you, whores. Scumbag fucking whores. I don't need you. And you won't stop me. Do you understand? You won't stop me. Like I said, you could try to put a bullet in me and you still won't stop me, motherfucker. You're not going to stop me. You're not going to stop my fucking voice. You might not make as many people on your dumb, imbecilic fucking platform who still use that piece of shit not hear me that week, but it'll still be on my website. You're not going to stop it. It'll still be on IPFS. It'll still be on Odyssey. It'll still be on the blockchain. It'll still be uncensored. Just because your dumb fucking whore little order followers will censor it, don't think you're stopping my fucking voice. And like I said, come and see me in person. Come and see me in person about it. We'll have a chat over it. Then you'll tell me how much you're going to shut me up. Try doing it in person, you little fucking cowardly bitch. All the little cowardly bitch order followers. Come see me to my face. Find me. Come into South Philly and find me. Write to me. I'll give you my fucking address. Prove to me you're from YouTube. I'll give you my fucking address. You come right to me in person, and we'll see how much you're going to shut me the fuck up. Trust me, I'm the one who'll be shutting you up for good. You're going to lose, motherfuckers, because you're demons, you're Satanists. We all know it. Anybody with half a fucking brain knows it. We know you're trash fucking communists. We know you're trash fucking Nazis, because you're the same fucking thing. It doesn't matter whether you say you're not a Nazi. It doesn't matter whether you say you're not a communist. You are, because you're a totalitarian piece of fucking dirt. You're totalitarian fucking dirt, and that means you're cut from the same cloth as communists and Nazis. You're of the same spirit. It doesn't matter the label you slap on it. Think about what a fucking garbage job the whore mother of the person who works at YouTube did. Your mother was such a fucking cunt rag whore harlot that she raised such a fucking dirty piece of shit as you. And yeah, this is pure scathing hate coming out of me. Guess what? It's also the truth. Anybody that makes the personal life decisions the people like that make, your mother was a fucking whore. Your mother was a piece of fucking trash. Your father was a lowlife dirtbag, piece of fucking trash scumbag. The biggest piece of fucking dirt scumbag that there could possibly be. There's no real words that are scathing enough for it. What a fucking piece of trash your whore fucking father was. Your father was a fucking dirtbag whore. Your parents were such fucking trash that they made you into an unfucking bearable piece of fucking trash yourself. And you think you're doing something good for the world with censorship of speech, you dirty Nazi scumbag, communist scumbag cunts. Fuck you. Fuck you. You're lowlife, immoral filth who should be fucking ashamed of yourself for what you're doing, and you're too dumb to be ashamed of yourself. That's how much your parents raised you to be dumb, immoral animals. You're dumb, immoral fucking animals. And like I said, I'll rant as much as I want. Don't tell me to fucking calm down. I'll calm down when I feel I've explained it and gotten it out of my system. If you don't like it, shut it the fuck off. I don't need your viewership. I'm saying what's true. That's all that matters. I'm right. That's all that matters. It doesn't matter whether it doesn't resonate with your emotions. I don't care. I'm not here to resonate with your emotions. I'm here to speak the truth to fucking people so that they can't say they never heard it. That's what I'm here to do. Not to placate your delicate emotions. If you have delicate emotions, go fuck yourself and turn the fucking show off. Not necessarily in that order. So moving back to the presentation, after talking about the whores at YouTube, we have another faction or category of anarchism called right-brained anarchism, contrasted with left-brained anarchism. These are people who are either technological Luddites, primitivists, pacifists, equally just as much lowlife scumbags as the fucking left-brain so-called anarchists. Especially pacifists, who I can't stand as much as people who are violent scum. Because these are people who are such fucking cowards that they'll never stand up to violent scum. You know? Physically. Anarcho-primitivists. Total rejection of technology. We're going to live in the Stone Age. Well, guess what? You better get rid of that arrow because that's technology. You better get rid of that headband. That's technology. You better get rid of that bow. That's also technology, dumbass. If you're wearing shoes, take them off. That's technology. Any clothing, that's technology. That was made by technology. A house? Forget that. Technology. Even a lean-to. Sorry, technology. See, they don't even understand techno-logos. Technos, hand, logos, word. Bringing about into manifestation what you can create with the hand. Through the hand, bringing about what you see with the word in the mind. That's technology. A cup or a glass is technology. A piece of eyeglasses are technology. You know, a clock is technology. And these are people who say they reject it all. Everything that's ever made anything easier to do in life is technology. And they want to say they want the absence of it and reject it all. Just like their communist counterparts, anarcho-primitivism believes in the abolition of land ownership, of pretty much any ownership. And anarcho-pacifism rejects the self-defense principle. That throws natural law in the trash can. You know? What about the people who don't honor the non-aggression principle? What do you do about that? You lay down to them? You lay down on the ground and let them beat you to death, I guess. Right? I mean, that's the right thing to do, isn't it? That's pacifism. I'll never fight back physically. I'll let a violent person just do whatever they want to me. Dumb as a fucking sock full of sand. Literally. And they believe their nonsense. They believe their bullshit religious nonsense. Yeah. You're going to reject the self-defense principle. It's real enlightened. As soon as a predator comes, you're his meal. Get the fuck out of here. You can keep your bullshit. Keep your bullshit religion. 'Cause that's all it is, folks. It's just another religion. It's just another psyop. It's just another fucking cult. And they got just about everybody in this world in one cult or another. See, I'm going to make a shirt. I'm going to make a couple of shirts. I don't know whether I'm going to do them this time around, but I need another couple of shirts that are just like generic. Maybe I'll put whatonearthishappening.com on the back or something like that. But I need a shirt that just says, first of all, one shirt that just says, it's a psyop, McFly. I want to make that shirt. I want to be the first person that makes the shirt. It's a psyop, McFly. Okay? The idea of you're just berating somebody like, you know, the bully in Back to the Future did to Marty McFly's father, knocking on his head and saying, yeah, anybody in there, McFly? Right? I want a shirt that says, it's a psyop, McFly. And then, you know, on the back, maybe it'll say, pick one. You know? Because it could apply to anything. It could be a psyop about politics. It could be a psyop about whatever the latest false flag event is. It could be a psyop about the coronavirus fucking nonsense, bullshit fucking scamdemic. It could be a psyop about whatever cult anybody wants to believe in. It could be the flat earth psyop. You could pick a million of them. The 9/11 psyop. It's a psyop, McFly. You know? But unfortunately, you're just dumb, son. You're just dumb. You know? Maybe we put it's a psyop, McFly, on the front, and on the back we have Fred Sanford saying, you're just dumb, son. You're just dumb. You know? I think it would juxtapose the two ideas and memes nicely. That people can't understand these things are psyops. They, like I said, they're as dumb as a sock full of sand. And they have beliefs, again, they want to get rid of certain things and they want to bring in certain things as the savior. They believe technology and or self-defense must be abolished to create true freedom. That's what they want. The abolition of technology, the destruction of technology, and they want self-defense to go away in the example of anarcho-pacifism. Two different forms of right brain imbalance. Right brain and people often reject and don't understand technology because they can't focus their mind because they're off in la-la land of the right brain only, and they don't have any of the concentrative and logical skill sets of the left brain. And that's why people want to reject technology, because it involves focus to learn it. and to do things in the very real physical world with it. And pacifists are right brain because they don't want to physically stand up for the self-defense of their own body and their own freedom and their own rights. So they would let any tyrant just come in and take over and kill them. And that's not enlightened. That's not spirituality. That's the destruction of the self-defense principle, and thus the destruction of one half of all natural law. The non-aggression principle is not the be-all and end-all of anarchy by any stretch of the human imagination. It's only half of it. The other half is the self-defense principle. You have to have both pillars of enlightenment firmly in place for the structure to stand. If you don't have those two pillars in place, it does not stand. So, right-brained forms of so-called anarchism are just as dangerous as so-called left-brain, so-called anarchism that is imbalanced toward the left brain. This is why we talked about brain balance so much early on in What on Earth is Happening. This is why we talked about the left brain hemisphere versus the right brain hemisphere and what happens, what states of consciousness one goes into when they're in one form of brain imbalance or the other. People want to say my anger is indicative of left brain imbalance. No, it isn't. No, it is not, because it's all anger about injustice. It's anger about people who have stolen something that isn't theirs to take. Someone doesn't have the right to take someone else's rights. No one has the right to take someone else's speech. No one has a right to take someone else's freedom. And yet that's actively being done. It takes brain balance to see that and be angry about it, to speak it, and to do something about it. And people are just so in a state of imbalance. They're off from one psyop to the next, one psyop to the next. We're winding down the Corona psyop. We're winding up the Russia-Ukraine psyop. People will just go and be against any enemy they're told to be against, because all you do is you believe the mainstream media. And obviously people are still watching the fucking idiot box, and they're still on the fucking phone, the black slab, fondle slab, black mirror fondle slab, and they're getting the same pieces of garbage information from mainstream media sources there and mainstream websites that are all owned by the same 5 parent companies. You know, people think, oh, I don't watch TV or get my news from the mainstream media on TV. I'm on my fondle slab. And yeah, it's completely different on the, hold on a second. Let me give you a report from the front lines here. Yeah, see, I don't get my information from the mainstream media anymore because I don't watch TV. I go on my fondle slab, the black mirror in my back pocket. I take it out, I fondle it a little bit, and then I go on some website, and that's not the mainstream media. It's not those companies. They're totally different companies. And I get all the same pablum puked at me. I get all the same nonsense bullshit puked at me, and then I just puke it back out to other people. I'm really good at doing that, can't you tell? And I'm not getting it from the mainstream media because I'm on the internet. Yeah, the interwebs. Yeah, they give me all the information I need on a daily basis, you dumb fuck. This is what you sound like. This is what you look like. Yeah. Yeah, you get your information from different sources, all owned by the same 5 fucking parent companies, all ultimately controlled by the CIA, you dumb fuck. That's why I'm telling you, people don't understand. You don't know. You haven't looked into what I've looked into. If you don't have the ARC and haven't really studied most of the stuff on there, you don't know what I know. You don't know the sources of information I've gotten it from. And certainly you don't have the life experience that I have. That's why I'm not taking people's ignorance anymore. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. You know? You want to be around me, you better be a knowledgeable fucking person. Because if I find out you're a fucking idiot and you believe in the fucking cult nonsense that's out there, I'm kicking you to the fucking curb. And I'm not going to be nice about it. And if you get up in my face, I'm going to get right the fuck back up in your face about it, and you're not going to like it. You're not going to like the result. And like I said, believe me, I'm not claiming to be the biggest, baddest motherfucker in the world, but guess what? If it comes down to fucking actually going at somebody, I'm not there to fucking prove that I'm a better fighter than them. You know? It's not going to be about that. That's not what a street altercation's ever going to be. And believe me, I have, and if I have to, the street thug would come out of me. And it's not going to be about proving a damn thing to anybody except that I'll hurt you. That's why don't start shit with me. Don't start a physical altercation. Don't try to take my property or my rights, because I'm not going to be like, let's talk about it, or I'm going to prove that I could best you in some type of a martial combat, because it's not going to be about that. It's just you're going to get fucking hurt. Say whatever you want about it. That's how everybody should be. That's the right way to be. Then a lot of people will be a lot fucking nicer to people and not fucking start bullshit with them. But like I said, if you're a supporter of slavery, stay the fuck away from me. Don't even fucking talk to me unless it's to tell me I'm no longer a supporter of slavery. You believe in fucking government and you're a supporter of fucking slavery and violence. That's your fucking religion and that's your God, and I want nothing to do with you, lowlife. You're the fucking lowlife, not me. You're the fucking lowlife. And I don't want anything to do with lowlife, immoral, trash scumbags. That's what people who believe in government are. You're an immoral, lowlife, scumbag, piece of fucking dirt and trash. And I'll say it over and over and over again until maybe you understand it, maybe you don't, but guess what? You're not going to have anything to do with my life. Stay the fuck away from me and out of my fucking life unless you become a true anarchist and you understand what it really is, and it's the only moral position in life. It's the only moral position in life because you don't believe in the imposition of someone else's will by violence, by coercion, by duress, all forms of violence. I believe in voluntary interaction with other human beings. That's the only moral position that one can take. It's the only moral position possible of taking in this world. And if you don't take that position, I'm not interested in you as a fucking companion, an associate, or anything else. So yeah, here's, some right brain cults that people go and join and call anarchism. And once again, all of this is just a psyop. The principle to understand here, folks, is all of it is just a psyop to get people to look at anarchism and go, wow, these people are really that fucking stupid? They're really that low-life pieces of fucking dirt imbeciles? They believe that they're going to abolish technology and create freedom? They believe that they're going to lay down when a tyrant comes to beat them to death, and that's going to make freedom happen? And other people see how dumb this is. They see how fucking stupid these people are, and they go, oh my God, all these anarchists must be complete fucking the biggest dunces who have ever fucking lived. And people who belong to these cults are some of the biggest dunces who have ever lived. But please don't call it true anarchism. Wrap it in quotes, put it in big 50-foot fucking quotes, double quotes, because it is not true anarchism. Then we have the fucking real imbecile anarchists that I call no-brain anarchists. They're totally imbalanced in both the left and right brain hemisphere. They have no fucking real thoughts. They have no real understanding. They just want the world to burn. They are for actual chaos, and they're nihilists. That means they believe in nothing. They have no beliefs. They have no standards. They're immoral. They believe that there's no truth. I mean, you name it. I mean, these people are the biggest lowlifes out there. And there is they actually have a faction of anarchism called anarcho-nihilists or nihilist anarchists. Anarcho-immorality, folks, it's a thing. It exists. It's for real. Anarcho-immorality exists. Total rejection of all morality. It's out there as an ideology. Once again, see, all you got to do with all of these things, folks, is just call it what it is, Satanism. That's it. This is just different forms of Satanism. The rejection of the non-aggression principle. Again, they believe might makes right. That's Satanism. They believe as long as you get away with it, go and do it. No matter how violent it is. The ends justifies the means. Total rejection of all morality. The total non-acceptance of any objective forms or standards of morality. No objective morality. Anarcho-immorality and nihilism. Nihilism and chaos, the embrace of believing in absolute zero and nothing. No philosophy. They want chaos. And look, I'm not talking about chaos as possibility. You know, when I said earlier on in What on Earth is Happening, I'm an agent of chaos, I mean I embrace the possibility that comes with freedom. But I'm talking about actual chaos like destruction, annihilation, entropy. Not creating anything that is good, not creating anything that is orderly, that brings about the manifestation that we say we want. This is the exact opposite of that. The involutionary force in nature. Not syntropy, but pure entropy. And that's not a good thing, regardless of who thinks that it is. Obviously, bad systems have to be broken down, but that's different. That's dissolution. And then reforming into something else that is better. Chaos is not that. Chaos is pure primordial disassembly, destruction, non-differentiation. We've talked about it as, again, the force of involution in occult terms. And all these people are in these forms of so-called anarchy. You see the traditional punk rock anarchists throwing a Molotov cocktail, trying to set fires, trying to destroy property. People like this. They could be summed up this way. They're just spiritually stunted children. They're people who never grew up. You're just children. You're just fucking low-life children that had low-life parents as so-called parents. You never had parenting, and you never grew up to be an adult. So you're still a child deep in your psychology. You're still a child deep in your mind. You're spiritually stunted. And this is pretty much what we have now in the world. We have a world based on chaos where people are just selfish fucking pricks who are basically nihilists who don't believe in anything and reject morality. That's what most of the world is today. That's what most people are. And, people want to say, oh, you're way too hard on people. Most people are good people. No, they're not. Most people are rotten pieces of fucking filth trash. This world is full of them. There's only a handful of good people in the world, folks. Everybody else is a piece of filth who's a cult member, believes in violence, believes in coercion, believes in duress, believes in tyranny, wants slavery, wants chaos, wants immorality, wants murder, wants fucking violence everywhere because they believe in some form of government. And these are just little children calling themselves anarchists who want the same thing. They want those same forms of violence. They just don't want it called government. They just want to be the ones doing it. They just want that kind of violence everywhere. They want people to degenerate into animals like themselves, because that's all they are. And unfortunately, this is where the human condition really is at, if you're being honest with yourself. If you think the human condition is that it's largely good people who want good things, who want good to come about, they don't even know what good is. How could they possibly want those things? No, you could say you want those things all you want, and that's just a claim. That doesn't mean you really want that. I know people who say they want good things, say they want orderly things, say they want good to come about for humanity, and still believe in government and think it should exist and think slavery should still exist. So how do you want good things to come about? You're just making a claim that you want those things. You don't even know how they manifest. You don't know the laws of manifestation. And you want to say you want those things? You don't even know how those things come into existence and are maintained and are protected. That's what I mean, that these people aren't good people. The current human condition are people who want bad things. They don't want the non-aggression principle. They advocate for slavery. They advocate for coercion. They advocate for duress. They advocate for violence. Most people in the world, because they believe in government, are advocates of violence and slavery. And people still don't understand this. You're advocates of violence and slavery. And it's no different when you call for the rejection of the non-aggression principle, whether you're a believer in government or you put the word anarchy out there and try to get people to believe that you're an anarchist. It doesn't matter. You're doing the same things. You're out for the same ends. So stop calling these fucking morons anarchists. They're not anarchists. They're little fucking spiritually stunted children with no fucking brain that are low-life fucking imbeciles who are total fucking trash, who reject all objective morality and want chaos. That's not anarchy. By definition, that's not anarchy. Stop calling it anarchy. I'm going to take the fucking word anarchy back. No matter how long it takes or how hard it is to do, I'm taking it back, and real anarchists are taking it back. And fuck you, you're not going to use the fucking word. We're going to expose you for being the low-life pieces of fucking fake garbage that you are, and we're going to take that fucking word from you so it'll never be applied, and as soon as someone else hears you speak it and apply it to yourself, they're going to say, fuck you, that's not who you are, and I'm not dumb enough to fall for it, you dumb piece of shit. That's where we got to get to, where we take this word back and it means what it really fucking means by definition. Stop trying to reinvent the definitions of words through mind control. Stop falling for the mind control. Stop accepting what the mind controllers have told you the word means. I don't give a fuck how long you say a word means something that it doesn't. It'll never mean what it doesn't mean. That's why we have definitions for words. Anarchy means no rulers. Anarchy means no masters. That's all it ever has meant. That's all it means now, and that's all it'll ever mean. Period. It doesn't mean chaos. These people who want to bring nihilism, chaos, and the destruction of and rejection of morality by any means necessary to justify their ends aren't anarchists. They're violent, fucking criminal, fucking thugs who should be treated as such. Stop calling yourself what I actually am. I'm an anarchist. You're a piece of fucking low-life shit. Let's get that straight and let's say it again. I'm the true anarchist. You're the low-life piece of scumbag fucking shit. These kind of anarchists. And what they really are what we're going to get to next is agent provocateurs, ultimately. That's really what these people are. And they're the cult members who bought into what the agent provocateurs are doing and actually think, oh yeah, we should actually do this. I call these people the anarchists who have sold their soul, the so-called anarchists in double quotes, the fake-ass anarchists who have sold their soul. This is sold soul anarchism because they've given up their soul for a paycheck to do acts to make anarchists look bad. See, that's how sophisticated the PSYOP is, folks. And people who say, oh, that couldn't be that deep and sophisticated. Yeah, it is. And you have to understand that's how it works. This is how much they don't want people to understand what anarchy is. That they put low-life trash cops on the street during any kind of demonstration or, rally or protest. And the cops dress up as black bloc anarchists, nihilist anarchists that we saw in the last slide, and they go and throw chairs through Starbucks windows or through bank windows. To get people to look at it like, oh, this is what an anarchist is. This is what they do. This is what lack of respect for property they have. This is what low-life scumbag pieces of dirt they are. No, that's the low-life pieces of fucking trash that are the cops, that are the agent provocateur, so-called anarchists. The agent provocateurs, it means that you're going to go and do a false flag to make it look like your political opponents did that behavior when you actually did it dressed up as them. That's all it is. Which is why I don't really even believe in political protest. I think it's a lost cause. I think it's stupid. Like I said, I don't believe in petitioning the government. You got to say no, and you got to say no with teeth. You got to say, no, I'm not doing it, and try to make me do it. We're going to form a fucking militia, and we're going to point guns at you if you try to make us come and do whatever you're trying to get us to do with violence, and there's going to be a fucking actual war. You're going to get real war. That I believe in. That I'll support. It doesn't mean you're doing anything violent. It's saying if you come and try to coerce me with violence to do something that you don't have the right to coerce me to do, or to stop me from doing something that I do have the right to do, then we will protect ourselves with deadly force. That's the whole idea of what a militia is. And that is a human right in all times and places, in all places, regardless of country, regardless of time. See, that's why people just don't understand natural law. They don't get the self-defense principle. All the fucking imbeciles out there in other countries other than the United States who have been made into little fucking thumb-sucking pacifists who don't think that it's your right to defend yourself with weaponry. You're a little fucking child. You're a little know-nothing fucking little pussy-ass bitch child. You know? And I'm just going to say it to your face. You had long enough to understand it without being insulted. You're just dumb, son. You're just dumb, and you're attached to your fucking cult like these cops are attached to their fucking dumb fucking cult. That's all cops are, dumb fucking cult members. You're dumb fucking cult members, pigs. That's all you are. You're a dumb fucking cult member with low-life trash for parents. Put the parents in quotes like you want to put the agent provocateur anarchist in quotes. You better put that in quotes too, because you didn't have fucking parents. You had a mirror of the low-life piece of fucking trash you are. And you just became like them. Because you had such scum for parents. You had such scum for a whore mother that shat you out of her fucking cunt. And you had a whore low-life fucking prick for a father that doesn't give a fuck whether you learn right from wrong. And then you want to think you're the good guy? You want to think you know the difference between right and wrong with all the corruption going on in your fucking bullshit world? Where you take fucking payoffs from every low-life fucking criminal, look the other fucking way? Everybody on your fucking whole department's on the fucking payroll to some mafioso fucking criminal or another. You got fucking people dressing up as agent provocateurs and going and damaging other fucking people's private property. You scumbag fucking skanks. You're the biggest piece of fucking trash in the fucking world. And you had the biggest pieces of trash for parents in the world. None of these people are anarchists, folks. It's another fucking cult. True anarchy isn't a cult. It's an understanding of objective morality, the non-aggression principle, the self-defense principle, what true rights are. That government is slavery. And understanding that only consciousness and morality can create true freedom and nothing else can. Speaking out through your conscience when you have come to a higher level of consciousness and you are then teaching objective morality to others, which is what the great work is. That's part of true anarchy. Understanding there should be no masters above and no slaves below is true anarchy. These people aren't anarchists. They're low-life scumbags. Low-life fucking scumbags, either trash leftist authoritarianism, cult believers, or trash right-wing authoritarianism, scumbag cult members. Doesn't matter whether you're in the right-wing cop fucking nutcase totalitarian freak believer, which most of them are. Let me tell you something. Look, I've heard cops in this city say, I'm going to go beat up a bunch of N's today. The N-word. You know? I've heard it with my own fucking ears when they didn't think other people were listening. I know people who worked for the police who talked about how all they love is to go on a no-knock raid so they can get to shoot dogs because they just want to murder life. And they love killing dogs when they go on drug raids. And they say, they were telling my friend, we just go and seek out the dog and kill them immediately, whether they're doing anything harmful or not, just because we want to put a bullet in a dog. And you don't think that they're out there and they're like that, and that's the majority of them. No, that's not one or two bad apples in the bunch. That's what they have in their black fucking hearts. They wouldn't be control freaks wanting to control other people if they didn't have black fucking hearts. And they weren't immoral trash raised by immoral trash. They would be good people advocating for nonviolence and try to educate people about nonviolence, about the non-aggression principle and the self-defense principle as rights. They don't know what a fucking right is, and they don't give a fuck. All they give a fuck about is money. That's why they do all these immoral things, for money. That's their god. Money and government are their gods. And that makes them black-hearted filth trash. I'm sick of people standing up for them. I'm sick of people making excuses for them. Stop making excuses for these demons. They're fucking demons. And that's why the world is the way that it is. Because we have demons running amok in the fucking world and nobody calling them on their fucking evil behavior. Government and money are their gods, so they say, I'll do anything, no matter how low or immoral, to serve my gods of government and money. That's who these low-life agent provocateur whores are. And I know some of you are listening to me. Like I said, come and find me on the street, motherfucker. You won't do anything because you're a piece of shit cowards. I don't give a fuck. I'll call it out. I'll dare the universe to bring it to me. I'm telling you as a fucking man to a little fucking boy that you are. You're a little fucking boy, you punk ass bitch skank. And I'd say it to your fucking face in front of you. Because that's what you are. You're a little cocksucking whore little boy. Piece of fucking trash filth shit. Imagine being one of these people. Imagine being a whore like this in human flesh. Lowest piece of shit that can ever be found. What's my orders today? Oh, you want me to throw a chair through a Starbucks window to make it look like the anarchists did it? Absolutely, sir. I'll get right on that. I'll go out into the crowd dressed like them. But I'm just a little whore. I'm just a little scared little fucking boy who never grew up and mommy never paid enough attention to me. And I'm a little scared little fucking boy. You're a little scared fucking child, you rat. Trash. Scared little fucking boy, scared of his own shadow. Could you imagine anybody being that afraid? Anybody being that scared in their fucking cowardly little bitch ass heart? You don't even have a fucking heart. You got a fucking block of ice where there should be a fucking heart. You got a fucking sack of shit where there should be a brain. The lowest pieces of fucking trash in the known universe. I shouldn't even put consciousness in double quotes because it shouldn't even resemble it. You're some pond scum. You're the bacteria that grows on top of shit after it festers. And imagine there are fucking people who actually associate with these scumbag skanks, your low-life skank wives and girlfriends that actually fucking have anything to do with you. Your whore fucking mother and father. They're both fucking whores. Your father's a bigger whore than your mother is. You know? And you want to go and fucking pretend to be just to fucking make people think that this is what anarchists do. And no anarchist ever has done this. Anarchists don't do this. Anarchists educate people. Anarchists make the philosophical distinction between right behavior and wrong behavior. That's what real anarchists do. Anarchists teach the non-aggression principle. Anarchists teach the self-defense principle. Anarchists teach natural law. Advocate for natural law and don't advocate for violence and the destruction of other people's property. They advocate taking people out who are destroying people's property, who are stealing from others, who are harming other people's rights, who are destroying other people's freedoms. Then, yeah, that's self-defense. If that's happening to you and then you're being held in duress by people who are doing those immoral behaviors, you have every right to use the self-defense principle to stop them from doing those things. So right now, someone would have a right to shoot that motherfucker right in the fucking head who's going to throw that chair through the window. Shoot him in the fucking head when you find him doing that. I'm not even advocating for doing that. I'm saying someone would have the right to do it. Someone would have the right to just take this motherfucker out of life. And you'll find they were a low-life scumbag pig. 1,000%. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. Because that's who goes out on the street and does that shit. And you better get fucking familiar with the tactic, dumbass. If you're not familiar with the tactic of agent provocateuring, you better get familiar with it, dumb fuck. Because it's been going on for decades and it's still going on. And like I said, all of these things, I don't care what you think about them. I don't care what you believe. This is true. It's eternally true. It's never going to stop being true. It's not true just because I said it. I'm correct about it, and the statement is correct and true. These are all forms of religion because they are cults that people have to believe in completely erroneous ideas, false ideas. Believing in falseness and in that which is incorrect and wrong leads to immoral and incorrect and wrong behavior, morally wrong behavior. And this is what religion and cults are designed to do. And this is still the one and only problem in our world. Everything that is incorrect in our society and institutions can functionally be boiled down to being called a form of a religion. Religion, as a word, does not just mean religion from a classical cultural context. And this is still one of the most difficult things to get people to believe, or to accept, I should say. You don't need to believe it, it's true. It's still one of the hardest things to get people to accept as being true because they're so brainwashed and they're so inculcated and they are so mind controlled through repetition of the incorrect definition of a word or to a limited definition of the word into believing that religion does not apply to all the people we just talked about. All the fake left-leaning anarchists, all the fake right-leaning anarchists, all the left-brain anarchists, all the right-brain anarchists, all the no-brain anarchists, all the nihilist anarchists, and all the agent provocateur anarchists. They all have a religion, and their religion is believing in the falseness of the ideologies that are the characteristics and hallmarks of these factions of fake-ass anarchists. That's their religion. That's their cult. But the belief in the monetary system, the belief in government, the belief in authority, the belief in all the bullshit cultural religions and all the nonsense bullshit beliefs that all their factions throw off, the belief in all these false forms of anarchy, the belief in atheism, all religions, all cults, ultimately that lead to harm. When you believe in things that aren't true, when you believe in things based in fantasy, when you believe in things that are in diametric opposition to the truth, it leads to religion, it leads to cult beliefs, and then it ultimately leads to harmful behavior. That's why you have to be right. Being right is the most important thing. This whole thing, you want to just make it about being right. You think that that's all that matters. This is more brainwashing and bullshit religion of them getting you to believe that being right isn't the most important thing on earth. If you are incorrect, you start believing more and more things that are incorrect, which become a religious belief system in your mind, and then your behaviors start going further and further out of alignment with natural law. That's how it works. That's how the dynamic works of chaos in our world. And violence in our world. The more and more things become religious belief systems, the more violent they get. Natural law is not a religion. Natural law is a science. It's a true science. It's a way of understanding how natural dynamics actually work in nature. Government, on the other hand, is a cult. Fake-ass anarchists are in one cult or another. Traditional religions are religions at best and cults at worst. A lot of the factions that split off of them are cult-like and have cult beliefs. So let's look at religion in a deeper context instead of what people traditionally think of as religion in the form of just Christianity, Judaism, Islam, Hinduism, etc., Buddhism, etc. The word religion is etymologically derived from the Latin verb religare. We've been through this over and over, meaning to bind, to hold back by tying, to thwart from forward progress. The positive connotation of the word religion is it can reunite. So instead of binding back or holding back, it could mean to reunite, to retie to something that it became unbound from. And if you are reuniting with the truth, then you could say religion is a positive term. That's why the phrase, there is no religion higher than truth. Truth is the only religion. That's why it is important to be right. That's why you have to use the classical liberal arts education methodology known as the trivium to factually determine what is correct, what is true, what is real, versus what is an artificial construct, what is fantasy, what is illusion, what is imagination that has run amok, instead of imagination used for the true purpose of getting us to envision something that is truly better for ourselves and then learn how to go about manifesting it. I'm talking about religion in the negative connotation here of something that thwarts our striving toward the truth, thwarts our forward progress in truth and in consciousness and in learning objective morality. It holds us back by binding, by tying us up with lies, with deception, with false stories, with, again, an imagination that has gone haywire and believes in things that are not true. This is the mind cage. This is the head cage that we need to get out of. Getting out of that head cage is to stop falling prey to their mind control techniques and to start reclaiming sovereignty of our mind. Understanding how to learn, understanding how to think, how to discover what is true and what isn't, through the trivium method, which we've talked about tons here. And people have been given tons of resources. When we break that conditioning, then we're learning to become an independent, true critical thinker. And then we'll be able to see all of these forms of nonsense, all of these cult beliefs, how agent provocateuring works, how all of this works as one big psyop. Religion, ultimately, as a working definition, is a system of sociological control based in unchallenged, erroneous, and dogmatic belief, which is specifically designed to hold back the progress of human consciousness. There is the working definition. A system of sociological control based in unchallenged, erroneous, and dogmatic belief, which is specifically designed to hold back the progress of human consciousness. And the occult sorcerers, the occult social engineers, they'll keep inventing religions until they're blue in the face. They have no shortage of nonsense that they could throw out there and present to people as a potential religion. They invent new ones as they see fit. You know? The flat earth religion comes to mind. The idea that Hitler was the good guy is another big religion. The idea that the founding fathers were selfish white slave owners only. You know, and that's all they represented, and that's all whose interest they had in mind. This is cultural Marxist fucking religion. Bullshit religion. And people still believe in it because they're dumb dunces who don't know the trivium. You haven't applied the trivium. You haven't read enough books. You haven't gathered the grammar. You haven't gathered from an eclectic variety of enough sources. You haven't compared the sources. You haven't weeded out the logical inconsistencies in arguments on all sides and distilled it and come to the correct determination of what occurred. And that is possible. and we can know it. No, you just believe some bullshit fucking communist that told you the answer you want to fucking hear. Because you have some cultural bias or you have some bias when it comes to race. And you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. All the dumbasses that believe those psyops. Same things when it comes to people with Germanic backgrounds or Eastern European backgrounds that want to believe in Nazism. You're fucking pieces of fucking trash that didn't learn the truth about what happened in World War II either. You believed a bunch of silly fucking nonsense stories from both sides. You could believe nonsense stories from the traditional writers of history. You could believe nonsense stories from fucking people who want to bring in alternative forms of history. Many times they're equally just as full of shit. And people don't weed through it to distill it and come to the actual facts of the matter. And that's why they want to believe in alternative historians who want to tell them Hitler was like a shining example of humanity. Yeah. I guess so was Himmler and Kammler and Goering and fucking, Goebbels and all of them. And all the other dark occultists that led to the Third Reich, like Villegut and von List and Lebensfels and Glauer, and you can go on and on. Or we want to say, oh, the communists and the Bolsheviks and the communists just didn't do it right. We've never had real socialism or communism. No, they just didn't starve out enough people, I guess. They didn't put enough people in gulags. They didn't have enough secret fucking police roaming and spying on people. No. It wasn't a closed down enough society for modern commies liking. They want to believe the alternative historian that Stalin was such a good guy or Mao was such a good guy. You're just as big a fucking pieces of trash for venerating these fucking low-life scumbags as they are. It's because your fucking mother and father never taught you how to learn. And even if they weren't fucking examples or beacons of goodness, you could have went out and found fucking mentors to help you learn, but you didn't because you're lazy bags of shit. And you want to believe shit that you have some cultural fucking bias as either a fucking person who formerly lived in communism or socialism, or a person who has some cultural ties to a Germanic background. Fuck all of you. They want to believe Nazism or communism was something good. It's just your bullshit religion. I'm not saying this to, German or Russian people. I'm talking about people who are either Nazi in their belief system or communist and want to believe either Hitler was the good guy or Stalin was the good guy or the Bolsheviks were the good guys, No, you're just trash who won't let go of a bullshit cult. That's all. And nobody tells it to you like that. That's why you're still trash who believes in a fucking cult. Because nobody just smacked you the fuck around when you're a young piece of fucking dirt and said, hey, fuckhead, you're a dumb bag of fucking shit who's believing in a fucking cult. And all these cults were run by fucking bizarre fucking crazy cultists and occultists. You don't even know the background of the fucking cults you believe in. You don't even know who Schapper was, Karl Schapper. You don't even know who Giuseppe Mazzini was. Because you're a fucking dumb, ill-read dirtbag. And like I said, I'm not going to say it fucking nice to people anymore. You have a fucking phone, you have a tablet, you have a computer, you could research. You could find everything out that you need to find out about what really happened and what really went down. And you could learn to discern the psyops from the real. Research. Now, people want to watch a documentary about Hitler being the good guy and then suddenly, Nazism might not have been as bad as I previously thought it was. Get the fuck out of here, you fucking dumbass bitch. Dumb as a fucking bag of fucking broken glass. Dumb as a thin paper bag full of fucking broken glass. That's how dumb you are. Bag made out of tissue paper full of shards of broken glass. You're just about that IQ. Right around it. You might need to do some standardized testing, but I think I've pinpointed your IQ quite accurately. It's just all forms of mind control, folks. That's all it is. It's all it is. It's all it ever has been. You're just under fucking mind control because you're fucking dumb, because you've been dumbed down and you're not taught the trivium. You don't know how to fucking think. You don't know how to fucking learn. And you're just in the fucking head cage. You're just under mind control. You're in thrall. You're in satanic thrall. That's what all the people who believe in all these bullshit religions, all the fake anarchists I talked about, you're just idiots under fucking mind control. Imbeciles under mind control. You got a religion. You're attached to the fucking religion. That's your fucking cult. All your ideologies are your cult beliefs. You try to push those on to other fucking cult members in your fucking cult that you want to rein into your cult. And it's all given to you by the master occultic mind controllers and the CIA sorcerers who invented your bullshit religion. That's all it is. They invented your bullshit religion just to make anarchy look bad in the eyes of people with maybe a fucking tenth of a brain, maybe a tenth of an ability to fucking think critically. And then those idiots, because they can't exercise discernment themselves, turn around and go, well, all anarchy must be a piece of shit. All anarchists must be pieces of shit, and all anarchy must be a piece of shit ideology, because look at how this dumb motherfucker thinks who's a tech Luddite. Look at how this dumb motherfucker who's a transhumanist thinks. Look at how this dumb motherfucker who's just a nihilist and wants to do immoral things and doesn't care about morality thinks. Look at how this dumb fucking agent provocateur who's clearly a lowlife piece of fucking whore trash pig who's wrecking a legitimate social protest or rally to make the people who are speaking their mind in freedom of assembly and airing their grievances look bad. And then they want to slap the label anarchists on all these people. And you're helping them do it. The people who believe in any of this fucking nonsense are helping them do it. I'll go slightly easy on the agorists, the voluntarists. Certainly I'll go a little bit easier on. You guys got a large part of the picture, but not all of it. Then you guys don't want to acknowledge mind control. You guys don't want to acknowledge social engineering. A lot of you guys don't want to acknowledge natural law. A lot of you guys don't want to talk about spirituality. A lot of you guys don't want to even acknowledge consciousness. You're not going to get the job done like that. So you guys are under mind control too. I might be a little bit more cordial to you because you have the bulk of the principles understood, but that doesn't mean you have it completely right. That's why I say that's close but no cigar anarchism. Still wrap it in double quotes, please, because it's still not the real deal. It's still not the genuine article. The genuine article is anarchy under natural law that fully understands the truth about objective morality, the difference between right behavior, right action versus wrong action, understands natural law as a consequential science, and understands the law of freedom, that as more people act in the aggregate morally, freedom increases in the aggregate. And as more people in the aggregate act immorally, freedom declines, and we go deeper and deeper socially into tyranny and slavery as an entire society. So what I want to do in this next part of the presentation, which again, it'll take as long as it has to, and it will definitely go into a third week and maybe into a fourth. We'll see. I think we're moving at the pace that I want at this point to really extend this and talk about it in a deep way and even rant when the opportunity presents itself and I want to really lay into somebody. What I'm going to do for the large part of the rest of the presentation is talk about what is going on psychologically with all of these people who have succumbed to this state of thrall, this mind control, this religion that ultimately becomes a cult belief system. Now, of course, it is religion that is the problem. That's the overarching mindset, that they're still in a religious belief system instead of a place of scientific understanding about how morality works to bring us the manifestation of our experience here on earth. But what is going on at a deeper level psychologically that leads these people into this condition and makes them stay there, right? Where they're not progressing and coming out of that belief, out of that mindset. What is anchoring them and holding them back? So you could say these are like the hooks that religion gets in people, the hooks that a cult belief system gets into one's psychology. And this is what dark occultism does. Again, if I had to describe dark occultism in one form, it would be that it is a form of ancient dark psychology whereby the ancient dark psychologist, who is the dark occultist, as I refer to the social engineers, knows everything that there is to know about how the human psychology works at a very, very deep, deep level. And then what they're going to do as a result of that knowledge, because they want to control, is they're going to manipulate that aspect of the psyche. And they're going to hold people in different low vibrational areas of the psyche. They're going to get them to identify in smaller and smaller and smaller boxes. And again, that's why I say fake-ass anarchists should be identified and put into boxes, because you're actually helping to explain by giving them that hyphenated name, that double quotes around anarchism. You're explaining just where their imbalance is, whether they're left brain or right brain, what form of ego identification they fell into, what other forms of imbalance and lack of spirituality and moral relativism. We'll talk about all of these dynamics. So these are going to be the psychological dynamics that these people have fallen into to identify with these cult belief systems. And we'll break those down one at a time. Then in the very last section, when we arrive at it, I'll be giving some solutions as to what these people can do to come out of these horrific, erroneous mind control belief systems that they are currently in and are rigidly attached to and identified with. So ego identification is the first one, and this is like a revisiting or a re-explaining of what we covered very, 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 very early on in What on Earth is Happening, in the audio series of the audio incarnation of this podcast, as barriers to self-realization, we called it then. See, because if you're truly self-realized, you don't identify with these little tiny and ever increasingly granular groups, which are truly religions and cults ultimately. You see yourself as pure consciousness, having an experience in the human body and learning and growing. And the more ego identified you are, the more attached you are to the role that you're identifying with and playing out in the 3D world and in 3D society. So, the banker identifies as a banker. That's his identity. The LGBT community, their sexuality is practically their identity. The mother in the family, that's her identity. If you took that away from her, who is she in her mind? The citizen of America, the citizen of any country, the citizen of Great Britain, the citizen of France, the citizen of Spain, the citizen of Russia, the citizen of wherever. Identifying with their political heritage. The black person, the Asian person, the Native American, purely identifying with their cultural heritage. The person in the police, the person in the military, the doctor, the lawyer, totally identified with their role in society and their profession. This is who I am. No, that's your job. That may be what you're doing. That's your role within a family. That's your quote politics, if you even believe in such a thing. That's your sexual orientation or characteristics / identity. But that's not who you are as a being. That's not what you are ultimately. What you ultimately are is a form of life. What you ultimately are is a form of consciousness, an expression, a unique expression of consciousness in the totality of all consciousness. People have a very, very hard time getting to that level of awareness. I think that, again, psychedelics could be an assistant and a help to get them to understand what I'm even referring to. Many people can't even hear that. They don't even understand what's being said when you tell them your ego identified, because their ego is so calcified and has such a hold on them, it's never been crushed, even for a moment. And a high dose of psychedelics would do that. It would crush your ego to the extent that you can realize for a bit of time, that you are not the identity of the role that you play. That is not your identity. That is not who and what you are. You would be able to see that in that altered state of consciousness, because that dissolves those ego barriers, the barriers to true self-realization for a time. Then it drops you back down to your base level of consciousness, maybe slightly higher, slightly altered, not by much. And you have to work to integrate that profound experience that was transpersonal, went beyond the self, to then be able to see, hey, no, I'm believing in a total, lie. I'm believing in something that roots me into an identity that is not truly who I am. It elicits my loyalty, in some ways that isn't productive, that is harmful, especially when it comes to government and the police and military. Slightly less so when it comes to profession, although other professions can certainly do harm. More so when it comes to political identity, because you're cheering on the violence at that point, picking a master yourself and telling other people they have to pick a master. Maybe a little bit less harmless when it comes to the familial dynamic, although that could become a problem if it's too imbalanced. It can be a good thing when it's in proper balance. But we have a million ways that the social engineers can fragment people socially through ego identification and then make it more and more granular. I'm a Asian, transgendered, Democrat, Army sergeant who is, deeply identified as an American citizen and wife in a family, wife and mother in a family. I mean, you could keep, making it more and more granular, and it could get to the deepest levels of ridiculousness with the whole woke identification and roles. And this is the whole idea. The whole idea is make people segment and separate and be as divisive as possible when it comes to who they believe themselves to be in any given society. Then they're far more apt to fight amongst each other and never understand that they're slaves. Never understand the one true divide. See, people will go, aren't you identifying, Mark? And then telling other people they're in a different box than you. Yes, because there is one true variant. See, this is where people have a hard time and want to say, well, then it all has to be obliterated. No, discernment must be applied. There is a true aspect, and then there is all false variations that they give you. There is one true segmentation or divisiveness, or as I call it, the one true divide. It's, do you believe in slavery, or do you believe that people aren't property and that they are free by their very nature as beings? That's the only box that anybody should ever be put into. And again, these fake anarchists, I'm saying, yes, categorize them to understand all the categories, right? They have to ultimately get out of that ego identification and leave that box in real life. But for the purpose of understanding the different factions and the different categories, yes, we should file them in like index cards in their slots and say, oh, big right brain imbalance, hates technology, Luddite, that's anarcho-primitivism. Because you have to understand all the things that anarchy is not to understand what it is. That's learning what anarchy is apophatically. The apophatic method of inquiry, we've talked about that when it comes to what rights are. It's describing what something is by describing what it most definitively is not. And then when you've described everything that is not, the qualities that remain are what actually describe the thing that you're trying to talk about and define. So there is only one divide that isn't a form of ego identification. It's a divide that is true. It exists in nature. See, all of these things don't exist in nature. There's no such thing as a banker in nature. It's a construct and a role someone plays. There's a human being in nature. Slavery does exist when somebody is coercing somebody. People who are claiming to be slave owners, people who are doing the bidding of the slave owner, they're doing that action in nature. So yes, the soldier identifies through the ego in that role as doing that job, but they're actually doing something that is harmful in nature, which is reinforcing slavery. That's why I said order followers are the people who keep the system of slavery in place. They are the hands of the plantation owners. That's it. Which are the house slaves. That's all a soldier ever has been in any army, in any military that is outside of a people's militia. A people's militia is a legitimate function and necessary one if you want to keep freedom. And that doesn't mean you even need uniforms. That doesn't even mean that you need a system of hierarchy and control. Yeah, you need battle tactics, obviously, and some people are going to be more skilled in carrying out certain parts of that. But when it comes to the hierarchy of a military, no, we don't need that. And the Founding Fathers constantly warned us about standing armies and why they were dangerous to freedom. Police are standing armies in every city in America, every city in the world. And they're the people, they're the house slaves that keep the system of slavery in place. Every single cop who has ever lived is a house slave. You're a slave who oppress and keep the other slaves in the state of slavery. And you're so fucking dumb and immoral, you don't know it and you don't care. Low-life house slaves. And this is what ego identification turns people into. But don't get it twisted and don't mix it up with the one true divide in humanity. There are only two kinds of people. Those who want to be left alone to enjoy and exercise their natural rights, which are their birthrights as beings. And then the second group are people who won't leave them alone to enjoy those rights. That's it. That's the one divide. People who know that they are inherently sovereign in nature and their rights are not granted by any other being in the 3D universe, but are the birthright of the creator of the universe. And then other people who believe that people are property and slavery is a morally legitimate claim upon the body or the fruits of the labor of another. It's the only two kinds of people in the world. That's the real divide. All the other divides that they and boxes they want to put you into are false and are just there as a dialectic to control and to get people to further fracture and identify and become balkanized and be divisive. because people like that who are fighting amongst each other never see who their real masters are and unite to fight against the true evil master that is oppressing and enslaving them all. And again, it's largely because they're just dumb people. They're just people who never had any education, truly. They had a shit form of state-driven education that has removed the trivium and not taught people how to think, but taught them what to think, which is not education at all, but indoctrination. But guess what? If you continue being dumb with all the information that's available to you in the modern world, in life, as an adult, that's on you. That's a choice. You know, it may not be a choice to have been dumbed down when you're a child, but it's a choice to remain dumb when you're an adult. All the information is available to you, and it's available for free. It's available, and it's available for free. All you got to do is seize it and start to use your time wisely to go through it. And then you'll lead yourself out of the darkness. Nobody else has to lead you out. Each person can do that for themselves by an act of their will if they so choose. Remaining ignorant is a fucking choice. And it's an evil one. That's why the ancient Cometians, the ancient Egyptians, had a phrase. Ignorance is evil. Ignorance is evil. That means, and notice they didn't say nescience is evil. No person who intelligently understands the difference between nescience and ignorance would ever say nescience is evil. But a person who does make that intelligent distinction between nescience and ignorance would definitely say ignorance is evil. Nescience is not knowing through no fault of your own because the knowledge was not present and you were not capable of acquiring it. That's called nescience. Ne science, the negation of science, the negation of knowledge. Knowledge is not present. It's nowhere to be found. Hence the ne prefix, which means not available, not there, absent in Latin, and the word science meaning knowledge. Ignorance comes from the verb ignorare, which means to ignore, to refuse to pay attention to refuse to acknowledge in one's presence, meaning it is there, but you will not look at it. You will not pay attention to it sufficiently to understand it or even acknowledge its presence. That's ignorance. Ignorance, the state of ignoring. And that is a willful thing. That means, yes, it is available, and you have willfully rejected taking it into your awareness. That's what evil is when it comes to matters of moral truth. When it comes to objective truth and objective morality, if you have not learned it, it is not because it is not available unto you and it is absent from your environment. You have willfully chosen to ignore it and therefore to remain in a state of ignorance. And that is evil. That is to do evil. To reject moral truth is to continue to do evil in society, in our world. Yes, it is. People want to insist anybody can be ignorant of anything they want, and that doesn't make them good or bad. You are wrong. I am correct, and you are incorrect. There are things that one does not have the right to remain ignorant about, because the knowledge of morality is always present, and it doesn't require even book knowledge to learn. All the machinations of the rulers of our world and their connections and think tanks, you might need book knowledge for that. You don't need book knowledge for morality. Everybody knows what being wronged feels like. Everybody knows what being harmed feels like. Everybody knows what acts of wrong and harm are, whether they feign ignorance and claim not to. You know you don't want to be physically damaged or harmed or killed physically. You don't want people to steal property from you. You don't want them to shut down your rights. You don't want them to take your freedom. You don't want them to take your free will. You don't want them to deceive you and give you totally incorrect information, and then that harms your ability to engage in informed decision making. You don't want to be raped. You don't want to be assaulted. Then don't do any of those fucking things to other people. It's not that difficult. And you don't have the right to remain ignorant of this is what rights are and this is what rights aren't. No. That means if you remain ignorant of that and you keep advocating for things that are violent and harmful, that's why you're a bad person. That's what makes someone a bad person. So one of the ways toward bridging the gap in that knowledge and starting to understand objective morality is getting out of these ego-identified roles that keep us anchored into nonsense, keep us anchored into things that don't ultimately matter, that we become obsessed over, and take up all of our time, and then get us doing even immoral behaviors in the form of the police and the military, or advocating for the immoral behaviors, as is the case with political ego identification. Seeing the world clearly and perceiving the truth about any given matter relies to a great extent on being able to stop identifying with any particular institution, job, group, role, or even personal identity. Ego identification is one of the major barriers to self-realization. One of the biggest ones is why I covered it so early on in the methods of mind control. Because if they can cut you off from your true identity and who you truly are, that's one of the biggest processes of starting to get you involved in their religions and their cults. So if we're going to understand who we are, this is part of consciousness. If we're going to understand the truth about what's going on within us, how we've been manipulated, how we've been sidetracked, how we've been given a bunch of nonsense to believe in and identify with, we have to get out of ego identification. Stop identifying with the institutions, with the roles that we have in life, with the jobs we do. That's not who we are. When one finally leaves the mind-controlled state of ego identification, that individual ceases to align themselves with relativistic roles in the program of human life and ultimately aligns themselves with consciousness and truth itself. As I was saying earlier, none of us are the roles we play. None of us are the institutions we belong to. We are consciousness, which is spiritual, having an experience here in the three-dimensional domain to learn and grow. And that's what we need to align ourselves with. We need to be loyal to nothing but the truth. In the biblical allegory in the New Testament, the Christ figure says, "Know the truth, and the truth shall set you free." Identification with the truth is what's going to set us free. Identification as pure consciousness on a journey toward truth and ultimately the acquisition of truth within our consciousness so that we learn and grow is who we have to become. That's the role we need to become identified with. Nothing else. And that is the only loyalty we need. We don't have to have loyalty to anything, a business, an institution, a political party or country, or even a family. You know, I don't have loyalty to my family above truth. God is truth. God is law and truth. My consciousness has loyalty to that above everything else. Any individual, any family role, any dynamic in the 3D world. So I think that's probably a pretty good place to leave the discussion for today. We'll be getting into postmodernism and solipsism as one of the psychological factors that holds people in these cults of fake anarchism next week on the program, ladies and gentlemen. That's all the time we have for this edition of What on Earth is Happening. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. We'll be back here next week. We'll continue with Fake-Ass Anarchists Revisited, Part 3. Remember, everyone, government is slavery. We'll see you right here next week.